A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Visit from Lord Baltimore, stars the distinguished actor Conrad Nagel as Lord Baltimore. It was written by Virginia Mazer and comes to you from station WBAL, Baltimore, Maryland.
Somebody said once that history is a tired old man with a long beard. That's how I used to feel about it. I lived in the 20th century and was proud of it. What did the past have to do with me? Me with my 21-inch television set, my automatic gear shift, my electric dishwasher. Then this thing happened. A lot of people I've tried to tell about it don't believe me. Well, maybe you won't. It all began on a Tuesday afternoon. You see, I run a little weekly newspaper down in the state of Maryland, and Tuesday is press day. All day I'd been sweating over my editorial. Finally, I took it out of the typewriter and handed it to my wife, Shirley. Shirley majored in journalism in college, and she's a big help to me.
It's fine, Joe. It hits the nail right on the head. I'll give it to Mr. Yancey. He's probably finished setting up the front page by now.
No, Shirley, wait. I want to talk to you some more about the editorial. Do you realize how far I'm sticking my neck out?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think most of the people in town are for the school bond issue.
But the ones that are not are pretty important.
You mean old Faircloth and that bunch of fossils?
I wish you'd stop calling them fossils. They've been running this town for a long time and doing a pretty good job of it.
Oh, yeah? Look at our schools. They're older than Whistler's mother. Last year, the kindergartners were stuck down in that moldy old basement. The mothers were wild.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wrote the editorial.
Then why are you trying to talk yourself out of it?
Well, I want to be sure. If I'm going to antagonize Faircloth and this crowd, I want to be sure I'm right.
Oh, for Pete's sake, give the editorial to Mr. Yancey to set up and quit worrying. You know you're right.
How can I be sure? I have to weigh this thing carefully, Shirley. What I write is going to influence a lot of people. I'll get it. Hello, Mr. Faircloth. I see. Yes, Mr. Faircloth. No, sir, I'm afraid I can't tell you anything right now. I'm afraid I haven't made up my mind about the school bond issue. Goodbye.
Well, that does it. Now I know. You're afraid of Mr. Faircloth.
You've got no right to say that.
Well, why didn't you tell him about the editorial?
I want to think about it. I'd be a darn fool if I didn't think twice before antagonizing my biggest advertiser.
You've lost your nerve.
You be quiet.
Don't shout at me.
Mr. Yancey, you'll think we're having a fight.
Well, we are.
Shirley, I envy you. Everything's so simple to you. It never occurs to you that there are two sides to everything.
Yes, the right and the wrong. Are you going to print that editorial or not?
I don't know, I told you. I want to think about it. Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Covering up my typewriter. My usefulness to you is over. I'm going.
The heck you are. You sit down at that typewriter. This is press day. Where do you think you're going anyway? Oh, well, guess you went home. Oh, Shirley, please, come back. Please. Now look what you've done. You knocked Lord Baltimore's picture off the wall. Oh, Shirley, come back here and help me clean up this mess.
I say, young man, watch yourself. You can give yourself a nasty cut with that broken glass.
The nerve of her walking out on me like that on press day.
Yes, you're terribly upset. I can see that. You remind me of Mr. Pauncefoot. Once there was a man named Mr. Pauncefoot to whom fate could not have been meaner, because he was a born in-betweener. Yes, he was one whom in an argument nothing but woe ever betides, because he always thought there was much to be said on both sides. That's Ogden Nash, another Maryland boy.
Wait, look here. How did you get in here anyway?
You know, I fell off the wall.
Well, do me a favor. Don't talk to me for a while, will you? I've got to work something out.
Yes, I know. You're facing a moral dilemma. Maybe I can be of some service to you. Suppose you stop fidgeting about and sit down so that we can hold a proper conversation.
Look, I don't want to have a conversation with you. Suppose somebody came in here and heard me talking to a picture.
You're terribly sensitive to public opinion, aren't you?
And don't psychoanalyze
No,
me.
forgive me, my boy. All of us are sensitive to public opinion. Perhaps I presume too much. You see, I feel that I know you very well. Hanging up there on your wall, I've watched you day after day. The problems you face aren't very different from those of other men I've known. Are you at all interested in history, my boy?
History? Not very, I guess.
No, too bad. A man without a sense of history is like a man with amnesia. He knows his name, but he doesn't know who he is. He knows where he is, but he doesn't know what he's doing there.
I know what I'm doing here, all right. I'm trying to get out a newspaper, and my printer is waiting for an editorial I'm not sure I want to publish.
Exactly. You are faced with a moral dilemma.
And you said that before.
It bears repeating. Now, if you knew a little more of the history around you, you'd see that the dilemma you face is not unlike that of your predecessors. We're an odd sort, we Marylanders. We're a mixture of conservatism and rebellion. We're quixotic, and at the same time, we're pig-headed, if you know what I mean.
I follow you.
In fact, we Marylanders are a great deal like other human beings. But there comes a time when we have to choose between the various conflicting elements in our makeup. In short, we have to make up our minds. It's not easy, you know.
You're telling me.
Do you think it was any easier for me, Lord Baltimore, than for you?
I must ask my lord to refrain from moving. My razor is very sharp.
Of course, Joseph, of course. As I was saying, I'm no hero. One has no secrets from his barber.
No, my lord.
I like to eat, to drink, to mingle in the company of the great.
Yes, my lord.
I now have from the king a charter to all the lands between the south bank of the Potomac and the 40th parallel.
Yes, my lord.
A charter and a name. The king has seen fit to call my holdings Maryland.
Maryland. Very fitting, my lord.
This colonial venture was to make me richer. Nothing more, Joseph. But now I find myself plagued with all sorts of questions, such as what is good and bad for other men.
Indeed, my lord.
Yes, there's this question of religion, Joseph. I've been advised by many to admit only Roman Catholics to my colony.
But of course, my lord, that way there will be no argument.
No arguments, granted. But will there be any freedom? I wonder, Joseph, can a man safeguard his own freedom by denying it to others?
You ask me, my lord. I will answer. Worry about yourself first.
That's very tempting.
Your family has suffered enough, my lord, because of its religion. Why invite trouble by admitting people to your colony that are unfriendly to what you believe? England is bad enough, but who knows what can happen over there in that howling wilderness?
Yes, who knows, indeed.
If my lord will keep his face a little to the right.
Joseph, against all advice, something in me keeps urging me to try it.
Try what, my lord?
Try making Maryland a free colony. I'm not a thinking man, Joseph, but sometimes responsibility forces cerebration. I have arrived at a peculiar notion. I do not any longer believe that freedom is something we can measure out in coffee spoons. Rather, I believe the more freedom one gives away, the more one has left for himself.
You are taking a great risk, my lord.
A very great risk. But we shall see. The first two of my ships, the Ark and the Dove, sail next month. I shall offer passage to any man who can buy land, whatever his religion. Yes, we've come a long way, my boy. A great deal of history lies between the first governor of Maryland and Theodore Roosevelt McKeldin, the present governor. Between me, a titled English Roman Catholic, and McKeldin, a Scottish-American Episcopalian. But all the trial and search seem worthwhile when I hear McKeldin speak today with so much pride when he referred to the long months of slow and hesitant passage of the Ark and the Dove to establish freedom on these shores.
Hey, boss. What about those 8 inches double column on page 2?
You mean my editorial? I need a little more time, Mr. Yancey.
Say, what happened to Lord Baltimore?
Huh? Oh, he fell down. Wire broke, I guess.
You want me to move him out into the back room?
I wish you would. No, wait. Just let him stay where he is.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Thank you, my boy. I hope my reminiscences are of some help to you.
As a matter of fact, I can't see any parallel between you and me. The choice you made was a clear-cut one. Everybody's for freedom of religion.
Not in my day, young man. Then it was an innovation. And my only claim to greatness is that I was among the first to try it. Mind you, I was no hero. Like you, I disliked sticking my neck out. 1,000 times I asked myself, wasn't I meddling in something that was not my business? But in the end, I knew that freedom is everybody's business. We can't escape that.
Were you ever sorry for the choice you made?
Oh, indeed I was. Don't fool yourself. The road to freedom is no primrose path.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, when the Puritan rebellion occurred in England, the persecution of other religious groups extended to the colonies. And I wished many times that I had looked after my own interests first. But there was no going back. I did what I could. I tried to safeguard religious freedom in Maryland by certain articles concerning religion. They granted liberty to all Christians, whatever their creed. I intended the articles as an act of liberality. Instead, they became a sword over the heads of many of our good people.
How was that? I don't follow you.
I'll give you an example. There was this chap named Reuben Etting. He was 19 years old and a clerk in a bank when the colonies revolted from England.
Close the window, Reuben. I can't hear myself think.
Yes, Mother.
But you can't. Oh.
You can't close it out by closing a window, Mother. It's like a tide running through the country.
Is there nothing to talk about but the war and killing?
I've enlisted, Mother.
Enlisted?
You? My son enlisted?
Oh, tell him he can't, Solomon. Tell him that this war has nothing to do with us.
Your mother is right. It's a war between the British and the Americans. But what are we if we're not Americans? Sojourners, Reuben. They tolerate us, nothing more. Don't tell me you've never heard of the articles concerning religion. Of course I've heard of them. They grant liberty to everyone. Everyone who can swear on his oath as a Christian. Liberty to everyone but us. And they are written into the law of this colony. Granted, Father. Everything you say is true. I cannot vote. I cannot hold office. I am not a citizen. This is the law. But I say it is a bad law. Bad laws we inherit like bad diseases. We are not forbidden to try to stamp them out. People made the law. People can change it. I'll fight for that right. I'll fight for the possibility of freedom.
So you see, my boy, Reuben Etting made a choice. Not an easy one. He died for it, as a matter of fact. And mind you, he died not for freedom. Many men have done that.
What did he die for, then?
For the possibility of freedom.
It's kind of a vague thing to die for.
Not if the alternative is nothing. And as Reuben Etting saw the issue, it was the possibility of freedom or nothingness. The right to live as a man or mere existence as a shadow. There were hundreds like him in those times. And the choice they made was to trouble the conscience of our young republic for a long time after. It troubled Thomas Kennedy, for one, and forced him to turn to make another choice. Like you, he was confronted with an issue. He weighed all the facts on both sides. Then he formed an opinion. But it's not enough to hold an opinion. An opinion is worthless buttoned up under one's overcoat. This Kennedy knew.
You're determined to introduce this piece of legislation now, Kennedy?
I'm determined, William.
You know you may lose your seat.
I'm not going into this blindfolded.
No, we're old friends, Thomas. We've served in the Maryland legislature for many years together. Why must you do this, I'm asking? Why at this time must you try to have repeal a law that's been on the books since the days of Lord Baltimore?
The age of the law doesn't make it smell any sweeter. It's a bad law. Boiled down, it deprives everybody but Christians of their constitutional rights.
Granted. But tell me, Kennedy, do you have any Jews in your constituency?
Not that I know of.
Any Mohammedans or Buddhists?
Nary a one.
Then what's the fuss about? Whom does the law hurt?
You and me, William. As long as any man subscribes to injustice, he's doing himself an injustice. The Bible says, proclaim liberty throughout the land to all the inhabitants thereof.
That sounds like the Constitution.
Where do you think it came from?
I see I can't talk you out of this, huh?
No, my mind's made up.
You know, if you lose, it's political suicide.
I've made my choice. William, I'd rather be a dead politician than a live hypocrite. Hello? Yes, Mr. Faircloth. No, Mr. Faircloth. I'm sorry, Mr. Faircloth, but I still haven't made up my mind. I'm sorry, sir. Bye. That was Mr. Faircloth.
So I gathered.
Now tell me, did Thomas Kennedy win?
He did indeed. It was a long fight. But his bill to extend full freedom to all citizens regardless of religious belief finally passed the Maryland legislature in the year 1826.
Suppose he hadn't won. He would have lost his seat in the legislature, wouldn't he?
In all likelihood.
And whatever chance he had to do good. How can a man decide whether the risk he takes is worth it?
Well, there was once a donkey, my boy, who starved to death between two haystacks. He couldn't make up his mind which one to begin on. A man can ask himself just so many questions, and he has to make a choice between one haystack or another. Only history can tell us if he made the best choice. Sometimes it impels men to espouse a cause they know to be hopeless. See, I'm thinking of a man who lived in the city of Baltimore at the time of the Civil War. His name was Benjamin Zold.
Rabbi Zold, I have come a long way to see you. You mustn't refuse me. You can't.
Suppose you tell me, Mrs. Kuhn, what it is you want.
I want you to go to Washington and see President Lincoln about my boy.
You want me to go and see the president? But, madam, we are at war. The president is overwhelmed with responsibility.
Oh, they warned me. They warned me you wouldn't do it. They said nobody would dare to speak up for a boy who's a deserter.
A deserter? Your son?
That's what they call him. All his life he's been scared, Rabbi. Even when he was a little boy, he was scary. They ought never to have taken him into the army. And now they're going to shoot him because he ran away. Oh, help me, Rabbi, please. Please, help me.
I'm afraid it's hopeless. But I'll go. I'll do what I can.
Oh, you're a good man, Rabbi. They told me you were a good man, but they said even you wouldn't dare risk speaking out for a deserter.
I commend your courage, Rabbi Zold. In these times, there are few who have the courage to speak out for a deserter. Is this man a member of your congregation?
No, Mr. President. But who can say who is his congregation?
The prisoner has had a fair trial, Rabbi. Full justice according to the law has been done.
I do not question that, Mr. President. I came to ask for something more than justice.
Mercy?
There is a verse. What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart melt as his heart.
Deuteronomy. This is a hard war. It has divided a nation, set friend against friend, brother against brother. It has snatched young men from the schoolroom, the cornfield, and put bayonets in their hands. You must know that you plead not for one man, but for hundreds of the faint-hearted.
Yes, Mr. President.
Every day I am besieged with appeals. And every night, I carry on a dialogue with myself, such as you and I are now engaged in. I am both accuser and accused. I am a private citizen, Abe Lincoln, pleading with the commander-in-chief of an army.
And what does the commander-in-chief say to you?
The whole is greater than any of its parts. I cannot jeopardize the lives of 10 million men to show mercy to one.
Your answer to me, then, is no, Mr. President.
Yes, Rabbi. My answer is no. I would not have had this war, any war. But once war is begun, one must accept its morality.
One more request, Mr. President.
Yes?
I should like to be with the prisoner now and until the hour of his death.
I shall write a pass for you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Rabbi Zoll, for coming. It is good to be reminded that compassion is as high a virtue as courage. God grant that we may soon return to a time when men are privileged to exercise it.
Hey, boss. It's 5 o'clock. What about that editorial?
Yes, what about it, my boy?
I need a little more time. I can always stick in an old editorial from the files.
Yeah, something like Safety First or Save Our Forests. Life's very simple, my boy, if one never departs from the circumscribed, the usual. But the men we remember are the ones who challenge it. Look at our own honor roll. There was Cardinal Gibbons. Listen to what he said.
Am I my brother's keeper? Let every member of this congregation hear what I have to say, and then answer for himself that question. In the city of Baltimore alone, during the past few weeks, I have visited myself more than 18 sweatshops. Men and women are laboring there for 12 hours a day for as little as $6 a week. I say men and women are laboring there. I might have said they are entombed there. For these factories are windowless, airless, stench-filled prisons. Human beings working here at starvation wages will in a few years be incapacitated for work entirely. They do not ask for alms. They do not want our charity. All they're asking from us is the right to organize, to obtain a living wage for the work they perform.
Cardinal Gibbons, who extended the boundaries of economic freedom. There was William Osler of Johns Hopkins, who extended the boundaries of medicine by establishing the first free clinic in the country. And there was President Gilman, also of Johns Hopkins, who extended the boundaries of academic freedom. And don't forget Gertrude Stein, another Baltimorean, who extended the boundaries of the English language.
What about Barbara Fritchie?
Barbara Fritchie, by all means. And don't forget Francis Scott Key and Sidney Lanier, Chief Justice Roger Taney, and H.L. Mencken.
Isn't Simon Soboleff from Baltimore the man that's Solicitor General of the United States right now?
Indeed he is. And he's had something to say that you, all of us, should bear in mind. I quote, "Freedom is not something we can win once and for all time, and having won it, sit back to rest and enjoy it. It's like a vineyard that needs to be cultivated. In this task, the free press plays an important part."
Hey, boss, I don't like to keep interrupting, but we're going to get a paper out. I've got to have that editorial.
Just one thing more, my boy, and I'll be on my way. Did you know that Davy Crockett's mother was born in Maryland, too?
Yes, somebody said that history is a tired old man with a long beard. I don't believe that anymore. A lot of people don't believe I talked to Lord Baltimore. Well, maybe you don't. Well, I know I did. And this is how I know.
Joe,
Oh, Shirley.
I came back to help you. I never should have walked out on press day. You have to make up your own mind about the editorial.
I love you, Shirley. You're so inconsistent. But I have made up my mind. Oh, Mr. Yancey.
Coming.
Here's your editorial. Give it a 69-point head and call it, What Are We Going to Do About Our Schools?
Okay, boss. I'll set it right up.
Hey, Shirley, you know something?
What, Joe?
Did you know that Davy Crockett's mother was born in Maryland?
For heaven's sake, who told you that?
Lord Baltimore told me.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Sal Rogers of Baltimore, Maryland, General Chairman of the Baltimore Friends of the Seminary. Mr. Rogers.
History, we learned again in today's program, is more than a long list of events in time. History takes on meaning when we see it as the totality of all the moral decisions made by man since the beginning of his existence. Like peaks in a giant mountain range, some decisions stand out above others. But each lofty mountain and each humble hill represent an individual human choice. And the grand sum of all these individual choices make up the mountain range, the eternal typography of mankind. Like the physical laws which govern the earth, there are moral and ethical standards which govern men's behavior. But though the laws are eternal, each decision is made by an individual, and every decision is a product of a single man's freedom and responsibility. What Lord Baltimore was so urgently trying to say to Joe was that he could not escape his part in history. The world would be pushed just so much further in a certain direction because he, Joe, willed it so. Lord Baltimore showed Joe how the course of history was altered in Maryland each time a man speaking out of his conscience decided to try a new idea, promote an unpopular notion, or print an unprofitable opinion. Each time an independent judgment was exercised, we had exciting new proof that men always have been and always can be free to make the world a better place to live in. For just as a home is a reflection of the person who lives in it, so the entire world is a reflection of mankind. We are far from an ideal of a moral world governed by moral men, but it is we who are making our own history now, and it will serve us well to remember this thought. The most possible of all possibilities is the possibility of the impossible.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Our Eternal Light drama today, a visit from Lord Baltimore, written by Virginia Mazer, came to you from station WBAL in Baltimore, Maryland. Our star was Conrad Nagel as Lord Baltimore. Also in the cast were Jill Kraft, Grant Richards, Beatrice Pons, Bert Cowan, Sam Gray, Joe DeSantis, Guy Rep, Guy Sorrell, and Glenn Woods. Joseph Pizzo was at the harp. This is Martin Edwards speaking. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generation.
eternal light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Judgment of Idolatry, was written by Peter Barry.
The burden of stone he bore as we came down the mountain would have been a heavy one for a man half his age. And there was such a depth of sorrow on the massive, bearded face that I shall always think he knew the hideous truth before he saw it. But it struck me like a fist blow when we came out on high ground above the camp and beheld in the leaping play of firelight the molten image of a golden calf. What do they do?
What think ye they do?
Is this an idol they adore?
An idol? A beast, my Joshua, wrought out of the nightmare of their slavish past.
Mightier art thou than Thoth, more dreadful than Anubis, holier than Osiris, and the war gods of Amalek.
Mightier art thou than Thoth, more dreadful than Anubis, holier than Osiris, and the war gods of Amalek.
Aye, with the drums and the psaltery, we do celebrate thy glory.
Accursed be your black idolatry!
In the tempest of his anger, he had shattered the stone tablets borne down from the mountaintop. And the thunder that broke across the dark heavens seemed to spring of the lightning of his flashing gaze. Before I could reach out to him, he had leapt from the high place and strode across the clearing. A lesser man would have feared to do it, for there was a drunkenness of spirit amongst the people of the camp. But knowing neither fear nor the use of it, he moved through the midst of them and, laying hands on the calf of gold, wrenched it from its pedestal.
I have taught thee with all the might of my heart. Hast heard no word I've spoken, ye vermin of the gutters of Thebes? Hast understood no single syllable? Ha! Is this white-faced silence to be my only consolation? Ye pale and shudder, and it is proper that ye should. Ye have made a stench offering in the nostrils of my Lord, and ye shall suffer therefore. Let this idol be ground to dust, nay, to powder, that I may strew it in the water of your drinking, that ye may taste to the full the bitterness of your folly. How was it that ye failed me so? Failed us both, yourselves and me. How was it that when my back was turned, that you fell into this sour and ancient rottenness? Have I not told ye better? How could you bring your hands to fashion this mockery of godhood, to shape and form this? Now hold, ye could not all have shaped and formed it. Nay, some one hand did the task. Some single hand made you this scavenger deity. Whose hand was it? Whose hand, I say? Some man speak out! Who was it sculpted you, the beast? Think you to shield him from me? Know you not my brother Aaron, who is appointed a priest in Israel, was here amongst you and can tell me the name of the man who did it? Who made this calf? You defy me then? You make it a test of wills between us? So be it. But I pronounce it to you now. No one among you, man, child, or woman, shall partake of food or slumber until the maker of this obscenity is confessed to me.
But no man spoke. Each held his peace, though each trembled at sight of the leader's displeasure. And that displeasure raged unabated as the moments passed, and he paced the floor of his tent, waiting for one amongst the many to yield to his will and come to him. And just as the new moon rose, peering over Sinai's rim, a timid step was heard outside, and a thin, familiar face blinked on the threshold.
Ah, Aaron. My brother. Enter in peace and sit beside me.
My brother.
Aye.
My brother,
Well, what will you?
Your forgiveness.
For what?
For that I answered not when you asked the name of the idol maker.
I sought no answer from you, Aaron. I'll know from them. I'll have them learn. They shall not stand stiff-necked and defy me.
Moses.
Aye.
In defying thee, they shielded thy brother.
What? How say you?
The name of the idol maker is my own.
Whom do you protect, Aaron?
No one.
If this be thy notion of a jest, it is a poor one.
If death itself be a jest, then is this one also?
Aaron.
Forgiveness.
Keep you back from me.
They came in a body. You had been a long time gone. 5 full weeks and better. Thy brother has deserted us, they said, and taken his God with him. Now make us a God we can see, Aaron. A calf of gold that will shine before our eyes in the living light of day.
You did it.
On pain of my life, I did it. I was one man against many.
The chance for great goodness comes always to one man against many.
My brother.
I cannot look upon him.
Is my sin so great?
Great. When a heathen blasphemes, no wind stirs. But consider the tempest that rages in heaven when a priest of the Lord lends his hand to blasphemy.
They came with me, with their weapons half drawn.
I care not for how they came. I care but for what you did.
What else could I have done?
You could have died.
Moses!
Out of my sight! Idolater!
That night I stood guard before the leader's tent, and long after moonset I heard him within, pacing, murmuring the name of his brother. That night passed slowly, but it passed, as did the next one and the next, and the life of the camp began veering slowly back toward normal. Soon little was heard of the calf of gold. All avoided it, as the members of a family avoid speaking of a tragedy they've survived. Indeed, it had been many days since I'd heard it mentioned, when one night, as I crossed the clearing toward my father's dwelling, a voice out of the gathering darkness spoke my name.
Joshua Ben Nun.
Who's there?
'Tis only I. Only Aaron.
Peace be with thee.
And with thee. The day has been hot.
Tomorrow will be also very like.
How fares my brother?
Well, Aaron, quite well.
Speaks he much ill of me?
Truth is, he has little time these days to speak well or ill of any man.
Oh, so?
He busies himself night and morning with the finishing of the tabernacle.
Oh, aye.
There's no end of work entailed for him. Materials are scarce, hard to find. He'd have it all just so, a perfect thing unto the Lord.
Joshua.
Aye.
Is my name never mentioned?
I'd not say never.
When, then? When? How recently? How?
But you have the truth.
If he'd tell it to me.
Well, then today.
Aye?
This noon at meats.
Aye?
Bezaleel the artisan.
What said he?
Bezaleel?
Nay, my brother.
He said nothing.
Nothing?
A cloud seemed to fall upon him, and he sat in silence, staring at his hands.
I feared it might be thus. It is his way
to thunder and condemn. And then, when his rage is quiet, to sit in silence, staring at his hands. Nay, for both our sakes, this must not continue.
What?
This postponement, this waiting. Sooner or later he must pronounce judgment for what I've done. But he avoids it, I think, loathing to inflict such pain upon me.
You may well be right.
Will you bear a message from me?
Aye.
He will not upbraid you that you spoke to me.
No one has bade me not to speak to the Aaron.
Then say to him that I, Aaron, made the calf, and that I am content I have earned whatsoever retribution shall be mine.
I will so tell him.
Say that I beg him to delay no longer, but to punish now, and sorely, rather than to further prolong my torment and his own. Will you say all this?
Aye.
My thanks, my lad. And say beside that I said, peace be with thee.
And he clasped my hand and turned and walked away. A lean and troubled figure, curved already with the stoop of age, moving lonely through the night. I intended to convey his message the moment I entered the leader's tent in the morning. But that was the morning Bezaleel arrived before me with the news that the tabernacle was complete.
Aye, and there is not one single thing that's left to do.
The gold has sufficed to overlay the sockets and the candlestick.
There remained enough and much to spare from the plating of the pillars and the bars of the boardwork.
How shall God be praised sufficiently?
Hallelujah.
His name be hallowed.
The measurements remain precise, Bezaleel.
Aye.
No inch was given or taken in the work of building.
No inch, my leader. The specifications are exact with those you gave.
I gave them not. But I shall reward your labor, and he who gave them shall reward it also.
My reward is in his everlasting glory. With your leave, I will be gone to aid Oliab, my helper, in his task.
What task is his?
The carving of the breastplate of the high priest's raiment.
Oh, aye. Peace be with you, good workman.
And with thee.
The thing is done, my Joshua. The curtains of twisted linen hang, dyed with violet and with scarlet, and the altar stands awaiting the savor smell of sacrifice.
This day should be a joyous one for thee.
Aye.
A day of happiness unalloyed.
Not in this life is unalloyed, my son. Neither grief nor happiness.
I bear a message for thee.
Message?
From thy brother.
Saw you, my brother.
Last night he stopped me in the clearing and walked with me.
Well?
His face was gray as a winter's dawning. His eyes were wintry also, wan and hollow.
He said you bore a message.
Aye. In short, he asks that you be about it. Express your will and get the matter over at once and done with.
The matter?
Of his punishment for the making of the calf. He said for me to say that you prolong his torment and your own by delaying to pronounce judgment.
Poor Aaron.
And with all reverence and respect, I cannot but agree with him. What can be served by postponing your decision?
My decision? I have naught to decide, my son.
Call you the punishment of your brother naught?
Naught.
How say you?
I call it naught, since he shall not be punished.
What?
He shall not be punished. Not in any way.
This is your conclusion?
Aye. Where go you?
So inform him.
I have not thus commissioned ye.
But he is anxious and most tortured.
Forget thy haste.
I would relieve him with this truth.
When one bears the truth, one must bear all of it. Stand ye, boy, and hearken.
Aye.
You will say to him that I have pondered much upon his evil.
Aye.
That I condone it no whit, and am yet staggered by its enormity.
Aye.
Say that I would punish him, but that punishment itself fails me in his case.
Fails you?
Say to him that punishment is of value only wherein it teaches.
Aye.
And where is the need to teach the blackness of so great a sin? To an appointed high priest of Israel.
appointed high priest.
Even so. God chose Aaron and his sons to officiate in the tabernacle, and God has not since gainsaid his choice. Now have you my leave to go report to him.
He sat gazing into the sunlight beyond the tent portal. There was no expression on the somber, bearded face to give me hint of what he thought behind his grave old eyes. And Aaron's face blinked with baffled puzzlement as I made known to him his brother's words.
He has said this?
Aye.
He has said this?
Well, rejoice, Aaron. You are honored most loftily.
Most loftily.
As are thy sons. I said, as are thy sons, Aaron.
Aye.
So summon them to you, if you will, and inform them that our leader awaits both them and you upon the morrow to instruct you in the duties of the priesthood. Aaron, will you summon them?
Aye, aye. Here, peace be with thee.
Peace be with thee.
He has said this. He has said this.
On the morning of the next day, the training of Aaron and his sons began. And each day thereafter, the leaders schooled them in the details of the ritual, that they might know it and set it down for the generations.
Each day the priest shall twice appear before the altar, arrayed in the vestments of his office. Say me now, Abihu, what are the vestments of the office?
A mitre and a tunic of fine linen.
And with what shall the hems of the tunic be trimmed, Eleazar?
With golden pomegranates, my leader.
And what shall the high priest wear upon his bosom, Ithamar?
A breastplate of gold.
Know you, Nadab, what word shall be inscribed upon this breastplate?
The words, Holy to the Lord, my leader.
Well said. If thy sons forget this in their youth, will you remember it, Aaron?
Aye, brother. I will remember it.
Speak, Eleazar. What spices shall be used for the holy incense?
Stock tea and onycha.
Naught else?
Galbanum of sweet savor.
Verily. And how shall it be prepared for burning, Aaron?
It shall be beaten to a powder.
Whereon shall the priests make holy sacrifice, Nadab?
Upon the altar of the Holocaust.
And what shall be the animals of sacrifice, my brother?
2 rams without blemish.
Aught else?
Aye, 2 rams, my brother, and a calf.
And then on the first morning of the first month, the sounding of horns summoned the people of the camp under the tabernacle. Awesome lay the clouds, low upon Sinai's brow, and the voice of Moses spake amidst thunder.
Behold ye the tabernacle of God. Behold ye the dwelling place of the Most High. Preserve it and tend it ever, I charge ye, that it may stay as a testament unto the heathen, that the Almighty reigneth. Amen.
Thou dost remember all I've told thee, Aaron?
Aye.
Then enter in and serve the Lord.
And Aaron and his sons passed into the sanctuary, and the face of Aaron was pale, and his hands trembled. And with trembling hands lighted he the fires, and with trembling lips spoke he the prayers of his office. And then unto him were brought the 2 rams and the calf of the sacrifice. Shuddering did he reach out toward the calf. Then he halted, rigid, white, and frozen.
All is well done, brother. Proceed to sacrifice. Make a beginning, we beg thee.
I cannot. For the life of me, I cannot.
Aaron had reeled from the altar, turned and fled, stumbled out of the tabernacle and across the clearing under the startled gaze of the multitude. Into his tent he ran and flung himself across his couch, sobbing, clinging to his pillow. From without, he heard the voices of the people raised in perplexed surmise. And then the portal of his tent parted. He looked up and beheld the frowning face of his brother.
What dost thou here? Rise, I conjure you.
I cannot obey thee.
Get thee back into the sanctuary.
I dare not.
For shame that ye should so flee thy office.
I flee not my office.
Thou hast fled it.
It was myself I fled.
The heavens are angry. Aaron, thy altar goes untended.
Is this seemly, this folly of yours?
What of thy folly?
I...
The sight of the calf undid me. I looked upon it, and it became the emblem of my golden sin. How could you have placed me there before the Lord?
Seek not my reason.
I seek what I must know. Wherefore should the beasts of sacrifice be unblemished, when the chosen priest is leprous with his evil?
Tell me, Aaron, who should replace you?
Why, a blameless man.
And where should I seek such a man? Know you one in Israel, or in Edom, or Mizraim?
You must seek one where he waits.
The altar would go long untended while I sought. And when I found him would I reject.
Reject? Wherefore?
For his sinlessness.
I follow not thy meaning. Nay?
Consider the hopelessness of sinning mankind, if it beheld a blameless man before the altar. Woe unto us, their hearts would cry. There stands a perfect creature, no such a one as we, but a paragon of heaven, radiant in his cleanliness. Alas, God receives only the angels unto himself, and we shall wander ever, irrevocably lost and desolate. What should they do then, Aaron, but turn out-faced to godlessness and evil?
My wits are tattered, I know not.
But if they see one like thee in the high place, they must take heart. There is no reason to despair, they will say. He was as we have been, but he has put aside wrongdoing and won forgiveness to the full, and some honor with it. Observe him and rejoice, for may we not do likewise and follow his example. Be this sound judgment, brother.
Verily, mayhap it is. But choose you then a man of some small sin, for my great evil unfits me above all others for a sacred task.
Dost thou repent that evil?
With all my heart.
Then know that the very greatness of it fits you above all others for the task I've given you.
I fathom this not.
Think, brother. Think what the children will say. Will they not say, we will not fear to walk with the Lord? For if the repentant Aaron has been forgiven his vast transgression, then hope abides forever, and no man can be lost.
Aaron, the fire of the altar burns. Aaron, the sacrifice awaits the priest. Aaron!
Hast understood me, brother?
Aye. But my heart still poundeth.
Admonish it to silence, then. And go you, serve God.
And Aaron went in under the tabernacle and took his place before the altar. The mists of the morning parted and the sun shone through. The straight, white smoke of sacrifice rose heavenward. And Aaron raised his hands above the children's heads and blessed them, saying,
May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting the Honorable Maximilian Moss, the surrogate of Kings County, New York. Judge Moss.
In an annotation to Deuteronomy, appearing in the Sanshino edition of the Pentateuch and Haftorahs, edited by Chief Rabbi Hertz, it is said, Jewish history is a continuous revelation with a divine lesson for each generation. I would say that the present lesson is to disseminate throughout the world the knowledge of God, and that He be served with earnestness and devotion. There is much ungodliness in parts of the world today, but if we can bring home to them the lesson of Aaron as portrayed in the story which you have just heard, and the judgment of Moses which followed, that sinning mankind can cleanse themselves of their sins, then indeed may we yet see the day when there will be blended into one grand symphony the voices of all the peoples of the world, uttering their everlasting faith in God, and in the great moral precepts and the righteousness of conduct which such belief must necessarily bring. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain.
Thank you, Judge Moss. Our Eternal Light drama today was A Judgment for Idolatry, written by Peter Barry. The music was written by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast, Carl Weber, Bernard Grant, Lynn Cook, Sam Gray, Hal Studer, Guy Rep, Glenn Woods, Bob O'Connor, Jim Dukas, and Eleanor Phelps. This is Mel Brandt. This has been an NBC Radio Network production, directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generation.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Treasure of the Dead Sea Caves, was written by Mark Siegel and was based on an article by Itzhak Ivry, a member of the staff of the Department of Education and Culture of the Jewish Agency.
This way, Ollie. This way.
I can't see, Mohammed.
Here, I will hold the torch higher.
It casts such shadows, Mohammed.
Oh, there's nothing to fear from a shadow.
I don't like this cave, Mohammed. I'm going back, out into the light.
No, stay, Ollie. I will show you what I heard.
I don't care what you heard, Mohammed. This cave, it frightens me.
Here, give me a stone, Ollie. Now listen, I will throw it. You see? The sound of a pottery jug breaking.
Oh, please, Mohammed, let's go back.
Oh, do not be a child, Ollie. If there are jugs in this old cave, something must be in them. In those jugs, there may be a treasure. There may be gold or silver.
There are treasures which surpass in value all the gold and all the silver in the world. The timeless treasures of the human spirit. This is the story of the discovery of a long-lost treasure of the human spirit. A discovery which adds to man's search for understanding and the meaning of his existence. The story begins in the spring of 1947 in a cave on the western shore of the Dead Sea in the Holy Land. A cave into which two Bedouin boys have wandered in search of treasure.
In those jugs, there may be treasure. There may be gold or silver. Let's go farther.
Wait, Mohammed. I'm coming.
Well, come on, then. Look, here's a broken jug.
And the pieces of another.
Ollie, here, this way.
Well, what is it, Mohammed?
I found it. We'll be rich, Ollie.
Rich? From those old jugs?
Oh, let me but open them. Here, hold the torch. There, it's coming. There, it's off.
It is an evil odor.
Oh, not evil, friend. It's the odor of age.
Whatever it is, I don't like it. What's inside?
Here, we shall see. Hold the torch closer.
Is that all that's in that lump wrapped in cloth?
Yes. That's all. It does not seem heavy enough for gold.
Can it be some other kind of treasure?
I will strip the wrappings from it.
Why, it's no treasure at all. Only a scroll with some writing on it.
Yes. Writing. Yet it is strange writing, Ollie.
Perhaps it tells where the treasure's hidden.
Perhaps. But I cannot read the writing. Surely it is not Arabic.
The writing on the scroll, and on 6 others which Muhammad and Ali found, was not Arabic. Yet the youths, who were part of a band of smugglers trading in contraband, thought the scrolls might have some value. They carried them with them to their destination in Bethlehem.
Ah, welcome, Muhammad.
Greetings, Haddad.
You have come to buy supplies for your return to Transjordan?
Yes, Haddad. To buy. And perhaps to sell.
To sell? What have you to sell?
These which I carry.
Ah, and what are they?
Scrolls, Haddad, of great age, which I found in a cave.
Well, I am not a dealer in antiquities, my friend. Goods for the traveler, those I have. But who would buy these from me?
I offer them to you for next to nothing, Haddad.
And how much is next to nothing?
20 pounds. All 7 scrolls for 20 pounds.
That is not next to nothing. Also, I have no use for them.
Oh, Haddad, these are no ordinary scrolls. They're not written even in Arabic, but in a strange and mysterious language. Well, someone will pay you well for them. Someone who understands the strange language.
Well, let me look at them. Cannot hurt to look. True. It is a strange writing. Perhaps from the olden times.
Haddad, you are a Syrian, yes?
Yes, I am a Syrian.
Well, perhaps it is Syrian writing, then. From the olden times.
You think so?
Perhaps it tells of great heroes and mighty deeds of Syria.
It is possible. There were great heroes who did mighty deeds amongst my ancestors.
Oh, then you will buy them? You will pay the 20 pounds?
No, my friend, I will not. But I will send word to the Metropolitan Samuel in Jerusalem. If these scrolls are truly ancient Syrian books, he might take them off your hands.
The Metropolitan Samuel, head of the Syrian Jacobite Church in Palestine, eventually purchased 4 of the 7 scrolls, although they were written not in ancient Syrian, but in Hebrew. His interest was stimulated by 2 facts. The scrolls had been found in a part of Palestine uninhabited for centuries, and the mummy-like wrappings in which they were encased seemed to him, although he was no archaeologist, proof of their antiquity. For 5 months, the Metropolitan sought confirmation of his guess from experts in Syria and Jordan.
The head of the department is in Paris, monsieur.
As for me, I really do not care to see them. You see, I do not read the Hebrew.
I doubt they're antiquated, Mr. Metropolitan. Probably they were stolen from some synagogue somewhere. When? I'd say about 1929.
My dear sir, you're wasting your time. These scrolls aren't worth a shilling.
There were other authorities highly qualified to judge the authenticity of the scrolls in the Metropolitan's possession, but they were not readily accessible, for it was a time of tension, those 5 months in 1947, during which the Metropolitan Samuel puzzled over the unfamiliar Hebrew script of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Jewish community of Palestine waited day by day for a decision of the United Nations that would authorize the establishment of a Jewish state. The decision came on November 29, 1947. And among those thousands of Jews in Jerusalem who followed the news minute by minute that day were Professor Eliezer Sukenik, head archaeologist of the Hebrew University, and his son Yigael Yadin, also an archaeologist, and a commander in Haganah, the Jewish Army of Defense.
We interrupt this broadcast for a special bulletin.
Miguel, here it is. It's coming. Turn the volume up, Father. Right.
Quarters of the United Nations in New York City relating to the Palestine question now before the General Assembly. The General Assembly, by a vote of 33 to 13, with 10 abstentions, has adopted the report of the ad hoc committee approving the partition of Palestine.
Done it, Miguel. They've done it. Thank God, Father. Thank God. I thank him. I thank him for letting me be alive in this time to witness it. Think, after 2,000 years. Miguel, find some glasses. We must have a glass of wine in celebration.
A quick toast, then, Father.
Quick?
Yes, I must report to the command post.
You think there'll be trouble, Miguel?
I hope not. But there are extremists who will fight this decision of the United Nations, and we'd better be prepared.
Here, then.
To the rebirth of the Jewish state. And to peace. I'll see you later, Father. That is, I hope I will.
Good. Let whoever it is in on your way out, Miguel.
Right, Father.
Not today, Joseph. Not today. Today is for celebration, not for looking at fragments of manuscript.
Only there's something about this one.
Let me see it. From whom did you get this, Joseph?
A dealer in Bethlehem.
And he has the scroll from which this comes?
He has 3 scrolls, he says.
Oh, where does he say they were found?
In a cave near the Dead Sea, near Ein Feshka.
Near Ein Feshka. I might have known.
You might have known.
Look for yourself through the magnifying glass.
I looked at it before I brought it to you.
Well, do you see the style of the script?
Well, it seemed unusual. It's why I hurried here with it.
Well, have you seen a copy of the Nash Papyrus?
The Nash Papyrus? What's that?
It's in the British Museum.
Well, what about it?
Never mind, Joseph. I'd rather not say yet. Give me the magnifying glass again.
Mm-hmm. Can you make anything out of it?
I'm trying. Here. Ma Lahoru al-Hahorim. It's Isaiah.
You sure?
Yes. Yes, Isaiah 2. Here, I'll translate. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger of good tidings, that publisheth peace, that announceth tidings of happiness. But that's all there is. Joseph, you say the dealer in Bethlehem has 3 scrolls like this?
That's what he said.
Then I must go to Bethlehem.
Right now?
Immediately.
But with conditions so unsettled, is it safe?
I'll check with Yigael. He'll know.
Then you think these scrolls are important, huh?
Think! I may be wrong, Joseph. Perhaps these scrolls are not what I think they are, but if they are, No. No, I don't dare even say what I think they are.
Professor Eliezer Sukenik did not sleep that night. Half a dozen times he returned to his desk to peer through his magnifying glass at the delicate script traced upon the surface of the fragment of parchment brought him by Yosef, the dealer in antiquities. When he could wait no longer, In the early hours of the new day, he presented himself at his son's Haganah command post in Jerusalem.
Gail, I've told you what I think these scrolls are. The question is, do you think I can make it to Bethlehem?
You're asking me as a military man, Father?
Well, all right, as a military man.
Then I have to tell you, you shouldn't make the journey. They've been ambushing cars and buses on the road to Bethlehem.
I didn't ask if they'd been ambushing cars. I asked if you think I should go.
And I told you.
All right, then. Let's forget you're a military man. You're an archaeologist, too. You understand the possibilities.
As an archaeologist, I'd say, yes, you must go.
Well, good. That's what I wanted to hear. In fact, I have the car outside.
You just happen to have the car with you.
And my valise in it, packed.
Oh, you're impossible, Father.
Never mind if I'm impossible. You've told me what I wanted to hear.
Only as an archaeologist, Father. As your son, my opinion has to be reserved.
Hello? Hello? Anyone here?
Yes, coming, sir.
You're Mr. Haddad, the merchant?
That is my name.
Where are they? Do you still have them?
What,
The
sir?
scrolls, of course, the scrolls of which this is a fragment.
Perhaps I do and perhaps I don't.
Mr. Haddad, I have no time to play games.
No time even to bargain?
Please, if you have the scrolls, I should like to see them.
Obviously, sir, you have not had much experience in buying.
Mr. Haddad, I have not come to Bethlehem to discuss my qualifications as a buyer. I have come to purchase the scrolls of which this fragment is a part.
I must give you some advice, sir, for your own good.
I don't want advice. I want the scrolls.
An attitude like that, it will cost you money.
Name the price. If it's fair, I'll pay it.
Well, if you wish it that way.
I do. Where are the scrolls?
I will fetch them. Excuse me, sir. A last question. Where did you mention you were from?
I didn't.
Would you be good enough to tell me? I should like to know where one finds customers so willing.
I'm from Jerusalem.
From Jerusalem? Today?
Today.
That is a long way. Today.
Mr. Haddad, I would have come 1,000 miles today if necessary. Now, please, may I see the scrolls?
Through the month of December 1947, Professor Sukenik studied the 3 scrolls he had acquired for the Hebrew University, and in January 1948, he directed a memorandum to foreign correspondents in Jerusalem.
An announcement of the greatest importance will be released at a press conference in the office of the Jewish Agency tomorrow afternoon at 4. You are cordially invited to attend.
It required some courage to attend the professor's press conference.
Professor Sukenik.
Yes?
We don't want to rush you, sir, but...
It's still 5 minutes before the hour. Perhaps there will be others.
Anyone who's not here now isn't getting here, Professor. None of this barrage. I think everyone's here anyway.
You're sure all of the major wire service correspondents are here?
All but one, Professor. He's in the next room.
Would you mind asking him to join us?
Well, he's not quite up to it, Professor. He fainted in the street on the way in. Gentlemen, Professor Sukenik's ready to make his statement.
Gentlemen, in order to understand the importance of what I have to tell you, I must first sketch in a few background facts. The earliest text of the Hebrew Bible we have, what we call the Masoretic text, dates from about the 9th century. Before that period, our main versions of Scripture are in Greek and Latin. Practically all of our knowledge of the Bible has been based on these 2 translations and this very late Hebrew text.
Professor Sukenik, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you call us here for an important news announcement.
I'm getting to that.
Couldn't you get to it a little faster? This isn't exactly the best time and place for a lecture on the Bible.
Not the best time? Why not?
For more than an hour on that January day in 1948, while the bombs burst and shells screamed overhead, Professor Sukenik talked about the 3 scrolls he had acquired in Bethlehem.
Of these 3 scrolls, gentlemen, 2 are hitherto unknown works. The first I have called the Scroll of the Battle between the Sons of Light and the Sons of Darkness.
That's an appropriate title, Professor.
Yes, perhaps it is. The second of these unknown works is a scroll of Psalms of Thanksgiving, perhaps in addition to the Psalms of David. The scroll of the battle between the sons of light and the sons of darkness.
As the professor talked, the correspondents who had gathered began to understand why they had been asked to run the gauntlet of the barrage. But the full import of Professor Sukenik's announcement came in his summation.
After studying these scrolls closely and applying all the tests at our command, the dramatic fact is that these scrolls are over 2,000 years old. This scroll, which I hold in my hand, is of the book of Isaiah. It is 1,000 years older than any Hebrew manuscript of Isaiah the eyes of modern men have seen to this time. This discovery, gentlemen, and I say this with emotion perhaps unbefitting a scholar, this discovery is the greatest biblical find of modern times. It brings us closer to those who wrote the Bible than we have ever been before.
Perhaps you're wondering what happened to the 4 Dead Sea Scrolls which were on the other side of the fighting lines in Old Jerusalem. In February of 1948, a month after Professor Sukenik's startling announcement, the Metropolitan Samuel succeeded in establishing contact with American and French scholars who recognized the value of the scrolls in his possession. Professor Sukenik soon learned of the existence of the additional scrolls. Late one night in March, the professor returned to his home to find his son Yigael waiting for him.
Ah, Yigael, you're off duty.
Father, where have you been?
Out walking.
Just strolling through Jerusalem?
Well, yes, more or less. I've been trying to make contact with the Syrian Metropolitan.
What?
About the scrolls he has, Yigael.
Father, he's in the old city behind the solid wall of Arab Legionnaires.
I haven't tried to get into the old city, Yigael.
Oh, really?
Only into the no-man's land between the two lines.
You've been meeting someone in no man's land during this fighting?
Well, yes, but not with much success. In fact, with remarkable failure.
Father, let me make it clear. It's worth your life to be wandering around Jerusalem like this.
Yigael, you disappoint me. These scrolls, they're very important. The Metropolitan wants to sell them, and if he wants to sell them, then we should have them. Here.
Agreed.
Do you know what the scrolls he has are? A commentary on the book of Habakkuk, a manual of discipline of an ancient Jewish sect, Isaiah 1.
Yes, Father, but
these scrolls, Yigael, they're windows on the past. They will illuminate a whole period of ancient Jewish history.
Of course, but there are scholars on the other side of the lines.
Well, of course there are. Eminent scholars. And I wish I could work with them. But as yet, these scrolls aren't being touched. It's a loss to the whole world.
It must wait until there is peace.
No, Yigael. It cannot wait. The wisdom and understanding of those books, why, in a sense, they might help to hasten peace.
Perhaps. But I don't think you should sacrifice your life on that hope.
Sacrifice, Yigael? It is no sacrifice. Each age has a responsibility, Yigael, to help to build the temple of truth. To aid in that task is the highest privilege a man can ask. I will keep on trying.
I have news for you, Professor.
Good news, I hope, Mr. Haddad.
I do not think you will consider it so.
Nothing has happened to the scrolls, I hope. They haven't been damaged.
No, not damaged.
Then what is your news, Mr. Haddad?
The Metropolitan has sent them away to other scholars. They are no longer in Palestine. You are a surprising man, Professor. You do not seem disappointed.
Well, of course I am disappointed, but most important, I am glad they will be safe.
Even if you cannot have them?
Mr. Haddad, I think it would be most appropriate for the Jewish people to be custodians of these scrolls. But it is not a question of my having them or of simple physical possession.
Then why have you been meeting me?
So that the whole world may have them, Mr. Haddad. It does not matter who unlocks the ancient wisdom of the Dead Sea Scrolls. What matters is that they should not lie dormant and untouched.
Dead Sea Scrolls have not remained unstudied. Professor Sukenik worked upon the 3 scrolls in his possession until his death in 1949. His son Yigael Yadin is continuing his work. Scholars in the United States and France and elsewhere are slowly resurrecting the words inscribed more than 2,000 years ago in the Holy Land. In the summer of 1954, Professor Sukenik's son, Yigael Yadin, then Chief of Staff of the Israel Army, was visiting the United States.
Hello?
General Yadin?
Speaking.
General, I know of your interest in the Dead Sea Scrolls, also of your late father's work on them.
Yes?
I'm calling to direct your attention to an ad in today's Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal? I don't understand.
Pick up the paper, General. You will.
The General bought the Wall Street Journal and found an advertisement under Miscellaneous for sale.
The 4 Dead Sea Scrolls, biblical manuscripts dating back to at least 200 BCE, are for sale. This would make an ideal gift to an educational or religious
With the help
institution.
of the American Fund for Israel Institutions, and through the generosity of Mr. D. Samuel Gottesman of New York, the scrolls were purchased at a cost of $250,000, and the gift transported to Israel, where, in Jerusalem, the 7 Dead Sea Scrolls are now reunited. There are treasures which surpass in value all the gold and all the silver in the world, the timeless treasures of the human spirit. And among these is the treasure of the Dead Sea Caves, a treasure which belongs to all mankind, enriching its reservoir of faith and wisdom.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Dr. Samuel M. Blumenfeld, Director of Education and Culture of the Jewish Agency. Dr. Blumenfeld.
The story of the treasure of the Dead Sea Caves might sound like a legend, yet it has occurred in our own day before our very eyes. It is indeed a contemporary reality. There is something challenging and fascinating in the fact that just as the state of Israel was being reborn, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, one of the greatest discoveries in the history of Hebrew literature. It is as if fate sought to impress upon the minds of Jewry and all mankind the kinship between the new Israel and the ancient sources of its spiritual being, its sacred writings. The resolute efforts of the late Dr. Eliezer Sukenik, one of Israel's illustrious archaeologists, to preserve and interpret these scrolls were undertaken at times at serious risks to his safety. Yet his determination is symbolic of the reverence, pride, and devotion of the Jewish people, and particularly the Israelis, to the cultural treasures of their past. The people of the land of the Bible is engaged in a constant, energetic, almost feverish activity to uncover its origins. Hardly a month passes without a discovery illuminating some phase of ancient Jewish history, of Jewish faith and tradition. The discoveries are made by scholars and also by ordinary people in the course of their daily pursuits as farmers, builders, and workers. As an observer recently stated, it seems as if every Israeli is an amateur archaeologist, for Jewry, while building its new homeland, is also seeking to connect its new roots in the soil with its life in the Judean terrain some 2,000 years ago. What strikes anyone visiting the shrine in Israel, where the scrolls and other archaeological discoveries are on display, is the perfect blending of the old and the new, the past and the present. Historical objects in museums and shrines of other countries recall a forgotten past. The scrolls and other discoveries in Israel compose a mosaic of what Israel was, is today, and what it aspires to become tomorrow. These discoveries suggest more than a literary continuity of ancient and contemporary Hebrew writing. In the context of the grim realities confronting Israel today, the events recorded in these newly found scrolls acquire even greater meaning, for they provide a kind of modern version of the war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness of ancient days referred to in the presentation. American philosopher and essayist George Santayana defines piety as reverence for the source of one's being, modern Israel, reaching out for the religious and cultural sources of its being through its rebuilding efforts, archaeological research, and literary labors, provides an example of the noblest piety.
Thank you, Dr. Blumenfield. Our Eternal Light drama today, The Treasure of the Dead Sea Caves, was written by Mark Siegel and was based on an article by Itzhak Ivry, a member of the staff of the Department of Education and Culture of the Jewish Agency. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Louis Van Ruten, Mandel Kramer, Louis Soren, Mark Cavell, David Pfeffer, Guy Rep, Carl Weber, Sumner Gorman, and Charles Penman. Norman Rose was the narrator. This is Mel Brandt speaking. The music was composed by Morris Mamorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Season of Fear, comes to you from Chicago and was written by Peter Barry. At noon, the sun glared down with white-hot vehemence, and yet somehow there seemed to be a dimness upon the royal city of Jerusalem. There was nothing a man might put his finger on, but the sense of impending doom was heavy, and many squinted about, puzzled to find some reason for their hearts' uneasiness in the dust-laden light of the angered sun. Only the puzzled faces of their friends they saw, and the familiar landmarks of the city of their habitation. By night, anxiety, strange and nameless, hovered over the sun-baked walls like the drifted smoke of a forest fire. And the moon rose, scudding through the ominous depth of low-lying storm clouds, shedding a fitful light upon the towers and the cobblestones, and gleaming balefully through the casements of the palace on the little hill. It was then, as the first flash of summer lightning cast the city in livid silhouette against the sky, and thunder spoke in the distance.
Did you hear? From the king's chamber. Then heaven succor him. Our task to succor him in lieu of heaven. Make haste and keep thy blades free. Hello within. Hello, your majesties.
Who is it there?
Eliabba and the guard.
Aye. What will ye, Captain?
Is aught amiss with the king?
Amiss, say you?
What's forth here?
Disturb you our rest in the dead of night?
Your pardons, Majesties, but a fearful noise swept just now down the corridor.
A fearful noise?
Like the sound of a man screaming.
Thou and thy crew are daft, or else ye look too well upon the wine, Maleada.
Ye heard nothing?
Not. Now get ye from the door and leave us our repose.
Aye, my lady.
Sweet sleep betide your majesty.
What was it, think you, frightened them so? What was it, think you?
Know you not.
I cried out in my sleep again.
As a man who sees the face of the devil.
Aye. Why lied you to Eliab and the men?
Where's the reason they should know? If the king have a nightmare... Sire, you shudder.
I put myself in mind of my dream.
And put it from thy mind.
'Twas not the face of the devil I saw. 'Twas his. I saw him as though he were alive, sitting his charger, full armed. Think you to escape punishment for that you did me? He said, and I fell on my face before him. Despair, assassin. Thy retribution was born this noon beside a well in Hebron.
Beside a well in Hebron.
The words were as a tempest in my ears. Weeping, I gazed up to confess my guilt, and lo, his eyes gazed down on me like twin accusing fires. 'Twas then I screamed.
Think not upon it.
Oh, how shall I not?
'Twas a false dream.
False?
Why?
Wherefore false?
Now then, my lord, take thought. Who could betray thee save thy good commander Joab, who'd suffer to have his tongue drawn forth before he'd speak against thee?
Aye, mayhap.
And apart from him, there's no man alive could speak.
You are more sure of that than I.
How so?
I feel in my heart that Nathan knows.
Nathan?
Aye.
By what earthly means could Nathan know?
I cannot tell you. Yet nonetheless I feel his knowledge growing in him hour by hour.
It is your fancy.
'Twas not my fancy, what he said today.
What said he?
As he knelt before me in morning audience, I drew a deep sigh.
Aye.
And he looked up and said quietly, "What burdens thy heart so sorely?" Oh, I near flung myself upon him and poured out the loathsome truth.
Nay, you'd not do that. You'd not so betray yourself.
I didn't do it.
The mercy of heaven be praised.
For love of thee I didn't, and for love of our son.
Our baby.
Aye. And for the endless love of Israel, lest the truth fly forth and fall into evil hands, to be used like a sword against our nation.
Oh, wise were you.
Less wise than fearful. Fearful that the Philistine maidens might rejoice, the shame a monstrous king has brought upon the land.
Nay, not a monstrous king. Can you not say, I was mad when I did it? My love went beyond my reason, and I was like a raging babe devoid of judgment.
Think you not I've tried? My soul is deaf to my words. I speak, and it turns from me heedless.
Thy soul is cruel.
Say that it's righteous.
Nay, for even the most righteous of judges would hear you out.
The most righteous of judges? Aye. There's some truth in that.
Whatever be thy evil, a righteous judge, a merciful judge would suffer you to plead before him.
A merciful judge. Heaven send me such a one to hearken, to forgive or to condemn, that I may live again, or else perish utterly.
I would welcome whatever punishment might bring an ending to this living death.
There is thunder amidst the heat.
Aye,
Think you relief will come?
if God be willing.
Can you not rest, my lord?
I can make a pretense at it. Good night.
Peace be upon thee.
Would that it were.
What meant he?
Who?
Urias?
Urias?
In the dream. What was he said?
Thy retribution was born this day, said he, beside a well in Hebron.
What meant that, sire?
I know not. I know not. I know little save the bitterness of my guilt. My guilt.
David, my king.
Bathsheba. Bathsheba.
The dreadful night was still young, the moon still climbing behind the clouds that clouded the breathless heavens. Now, as it climbed, Zanoe, son of Anim, stood in the doorway of his inn a few hours' ride from Jerusalem, his brow wet with the intensity of the heat. He shook his head with wonder as the drops trickled down his cheeks. It was rarely warm in this inn of Zanoe's, for his father's father had built it in a grove of gnarled olive trees, beside a well in Hebron. The day had been a poor one for business. The raging heat had discouraged travelers from the road, but even so, Zanoe was not pleased at the sight of the man who came riding in, stiff and erect across the courtyard. He did not like the overbright dark eyes, nor the brilliant white of the flashing smile. And the swift, brisk sound of the voice increased the sense of uneasiness that all day had haunted Zanoe.
The blessings of heaven visit thee, my host.
Peace unto thee, stranger.
If I may present myself, Abasak, a merchant of Sion. Behold, I am a stranger no longer. How's you many guests here, my host?
A few. Why ask you?
Curiosity, brother. No more than that. How's you an ailing woman named Ozari?
Mayhap.
And she was bled this day by a healer brought hither from my city of Sion?
Know you all this of an old creature who launders and tends the fires for me?
News travels on the locust wing in the land. There is talk throughout Hebron of the spectacle she made this noon.
The bleeding was ill done. She was raving with delirium.
How know you what she said was all raving?
I have forgot what she did say.
Let me refresh you. By report, she broke from her bed and flung herself onto the courtyard stones, wailing of a dark matter concerning the king, and of how she dared not die with a secret locked in her soul.
Was it not the fever spoke?
On the chance that it spoke the truth, I am come to talk with her. Here, a bag of silver coins. More profit than you'll see in a month of days.
So much of money.
Where do I find her, brother?
She lies in the chamber at the head of the stairs.
Israel's gratitude will outlast the stars.
But you must wait, Abasak.
Wait?
There was one who came before thee.
What?
He is with her now. A little after moonrise he came, and for a like bag of silver coins, I promised him an hour undisturbed.
I have laid my cause before thee, woman.
Aye, my lord.
Aye, and I conjure thee, in the name of thy love of all goodness, tell me the nature of this thing thou knowest.
Who is it ye be?
Twice now have I answered this.
Forgiveness, noble lord. My wits are sore vexed.
I am Remen, the Berathite.
I...
Here to beseech you to tell me all you may know of the heartless beast called David.
He is heartless?
Vain he is, fierce and remorseless. Hark, you hag.
He will not harm me.
Harm thee? Why, I have come to aid thee, pay thee. See, golden coins from Sidon. Behold, a princely price.
But scarce enough for a king's purchase, if I may say so.
What's this?
Let goods come high, my eager friend.
Who are you?
My name's called Abasok.
Aye. What seek you here?
I think thou knowest.
I was promised an hour alone with her.
Thou had 2 minutes past thy due.
Thou liest, innkeeper!
Thy time is sped now. Give another man a chance.
Take away thy hand.
And I do. It reaches for my steel.
Peace, my lord.
Thou hearest the woman. Now silence, curse thee. So, this is the good mother Ozari. Forgive me, but I could not help but hear what this noble lord has said to you.
Nay?
Nay. I have a bad manner of opening doors softly, but this time it has served thee and my cause most handily.
What will you have of me?
The same as he would, but for the best of reasons.
My head is numb with aching.
Yet hear me out. I bring thee the world, Ozari.
The world?
A palace shall you have.
But when shall all this come?
Aye, whence?
For myself and my friends and brothers.
Where are men of such wealth?
I know naught of men of wealth. Men of blood are we, remnants of the army of Abner and followers of the house of Saul.
Saul?
Comrades who would live against the time that we seize the throne and commence a new and glorious day in Israel.
Heed not this man. Heed him not, Ozari.
I bade thee keep silent.
He seeks only after power.
Aye, power to seize a strangled nation from the grip of a tyrant. Thy purpose is nobler.
Mine is the noblest of purposes.
Name it, then.
The avenging of the dead. In the first months of his rule, this swine, this demon, ordered the deaths of my sweet young son.
Alas, poor man.
Willst thou not tell me thy secret? Willst thou not aid me to avenge the innocent slain?
How shall the slain compare to the future of a living nation? Aid me, Ozari.
To which of us will ye speak?
I can speak to neither of you.
What says she?
Jest ye with us?
Nay. I do but now put myself in mind. Shortly past noon, my daughter set forth for Jerusalem to seek his advice.
Whose advice?
Nathan's. The prophet Nathan.
Nathan's.
And I vowed to hold my peace till she returned.
In Baal's name, what has she told him?
Only what she knows.
What knows she?
That I fell in a swoon and cried out I knew some evil of the king.
Then must you entrust the truth to me before soldiers are sent to wring it from thee. What is this evil?
Nay, entrust it to me, woman.
Be gone.
Not while I live.
Speak, my cause is Israel's.
My sons were slaughtered.
And thou shalt follow them.
Put up thy knife.
Zena spoke you to Nathan.
Aye.
What said he?
Without a word, he donned his cloak and rode out with me to Hebron. He waits upon the stairs.
Sweet mercy, bring him in to us.
Aye.
Leaving such a man to wait upon the stairs.
Be warned, Ozari. To tell him thy secret is to keep it forever locked in darkness.
Wherefore?
Know you not he's a king's man? If it be aught of discredit to his master, he'd see thee dead ere it should reach the light of day.
Aye, dead and thy tomb forgot.
Welcome, honored prophet.
God send his peace and blessing on this house. Is it Veman, the Berathite?
Aye.
I knew not 'twas thy habit to visit the sick. And thee, brother, is thy name not Abasok?
Abasok be it.
Of the tribe of Benjamin.
Benjamin.
And a one-time lieutenant of the rebel Abner.
Of Captain Abner, my lord.
Knowest thou every face in Israel, Nathan?
Nay, Revan. Every heart. May I see the woman alone?
As ye will. Please to follow me, my lord.
I will make my whereabouts known to thy daughter, good Azari.
Aye.
And forget not what we've said to thee.
What have they said to thee?
That thou art a man of the king,
All good subjects are such, I think.
and that there's naught ye would not do to shield him.
Is there some reason you'd not have me shield him?
I'm told that he is heartless.
Heartless?
Remen hath said he doomed to death his sweet young sons.
Remen hath said this?
Aye.
And of those sweet young sons, what hath he said?
Naught?
Not that they robbed the house of a sleeping friend and killed him in his bed? Not that they butchered him and bore his bleeding head like a prize to David in Jerusalem, hoping to be rewarded for their murder?
Nay, he said not this.
Then surely he hath not said that this friend of theirs was an enemy to David, and that a lesser and less righteous man might have rewarded them with gold instead of death.
Abishag says he is no righteous man. A tyrant, Abishag calls him.
Abishag. Know ye what Abishag is?
Nay.
He is an evil dreamer, a tyrant maker who'd overthrow our Lord anointed and set a puppet in his place to glance aside while irresponsible adventurers loot and sack this Israel, north and south. Such is his evil dream, and he calls David tyrant.
'Twas not the worst they called him.
Spare me, I know well what they said and better what they didn't. When a dark hour descends on a great man, let him beware the hovering birds of prey, the vulture and the cormorant, who wait to make high holiday of shouting loud his vices, drowning with their cries the good he's done. Abishag and Remen, one mad for power, the other for revenge, eager to judge the hapless king who bore the holy ark from Caesar and builds e'en now the spacious temple of the Lord. What hast thou told him?
Naught.
Good.
But my knowledge doth weigh heavily upon me.
Then I am come to thy relief. Unburden thee, O sorry.
One night, a little better than a year since, a soldier on his way back from Jerusalem to join the fight at Rabbath rested here till dawn.
Aye.
His name... I knew it, but I've lost it now.
It was not Urias?
Even so. Verily it was. He was the husband, then, of her who's now the queen. How knew you his name?
Say on, good sister.
As I recall, he slept a while in his chamber, and then he rose and found his way to the common room to dine. 'Twas then I went up to his chamber to dust and place new linen on his couch. Thunder then, as it is thundering now. The wind blew wild. Upon a table lay his sword and helmet, and a roll of fine parchment fell to the floor, shattering the seal. I picked it up and glanced at it. Oh, good God, I'd not.
Say on.
It was a message to Joab, the commander at Rabbath, ordering him to place the bearer in the forefront of the fight so that he'd surely perish. I read it twice before I saw 'twas signed with the king's name. I sealed it again with candle wax and fled and spoke not of it since to anyone till now. Where go you?
To the king at Jerusalem.
Wherefore?
To face him with his crime.
Surely he fears to do that.
I fear only evil.
My blood will be on my head. And to what end? Who could punish a king?
2 kings. Himself and God.
The dark of an early, thunderous dawning lay still across the city as Eliaba opened the door of the royal chamber, tiptoed across the marbled floor, and touched the sleeve of David as he lay sleeping beside his queen.
Aye. What will you? Nathan is below. He has been to Hebron and back and demands to speak with thee.
Demands?
Aye. I would have pled the earliness of the hour, but there was so dire a look upon his face, I dared not cross him.
I will come. Said he anything of the nature of his business?
Aye, but I followed it not. He said it concerned a man of wealth and power who coveted a poor man's only and most precious possession. Dost understand this?
Aye, Eliaba. I understand.
David? Where go you?
Sleep, beloved. A judge has come to court.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting H.D. Heyman, who is chairman of the Jewish Theological Seminary campaign for Chicago and past president of the B'nai Zion Synagogue, Chicago. Mr. Heyman.
How interesting it is that one of the greatest men of the Bible, King David, is acknowledged to have committed a terrible sin. Paradoxically, had David been flawless, he would not command the stature as a tragic hero that he does for us today, nor would his story be so rich in philosophic, psychological meaning. For out of the dramatic episode in which the prophet Nathan confronts the king with his guilt, saying, "Thou art the man," come two important meanings. Nathan stands for eternal truth as well as judgment. David, on the other hand, represents the authority of the absolute state, temporal power, and sovereign monarchy. Of the two, truth is the greater. And the state, however powerful, must always surrender to its final judgment. The second great meaning derives from the willingness, indeed the positive longing of King David for chastisement. For from this part of the story, we see the possibility and the value of repentance. Repentance, that beautiful concept that lies at the heart of Judaism. It was only with his spirit and peace of mind almost completely broken that David went willingly to meet his judge. But out of the agonizing sincerity of his guilt and the glory of his repentance came the development of his character. It is in this period that he wrote his most beautiful and moving psalm, which remains among the most eloquent poetry ever written. The experience of David is the experience of every man. Though our sins be not so enormous, still our repentance may be as sincere. And though the great political states of today are many times the size of David's kingdom, still, we must not be afraid to stand up as Nathan did and declare the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Heyman. Our Eternal Light drama today, A Season of Fear, was written by Peter Barry. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Ken Nordine, Arthur Peterson, Maurice Copeland, Sandra Gare, Harry Elders, Everett Clark, Fern Person, and Norman Gottsell. The music was written by Morris Mamorsky and conducted by Bernard Berquist. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Howard Keegan and came to you today from Chicago. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The eternal light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Wrestling with an Angel, was written by Peter Berry.
I give you my word, Rabbi. I'm not insane.
Insane?
There's no need to be tactful with me.
I beg your pardon, Ben, but nothing could be further from my mind.
I happen to know my wife came here to see you.
I had no intention of keeping Deborah's visit a secret.
She certainly made no secret of my condition.
Well, she told me that you weren't quite yourself.
She told you much more than that.
Well, there were some details, sleeplessness, depression, a kind of general withdrawal, but neither she nor I think for a moment you're insane.
Still, you suggest I see a psychiatrist.
I do. I recommend it strongly. A good man might be able to relieve you, Ben.
Of what?
Your misery.
How would he relieve me of my misery?
By helping you see yourself more clearly. In no time at all, he might clarify what's disturbing you.
And if I know what's disturbing me...
Do you?
Yes. I've seen myself too clearly, Rabbi Samuels.
I'd known him long and well. Benjamin Korff was a pillar of my congregation, and my bookshelves held 100 volumes published by the House of Korff and Company, sound and excellent volumes of quality and culture. Down the years, I'd laughed and wept and prayed with him, but as he stared at me across my study, his familiar eyes were alien and defiant, and I saw with unhappy certainty that his wife was right. Whatever troubled him was a deep and soul-shattering threat to his very existence. In the recent years, men of my profession have had more than ample contact with spiritual and mental suffering. Benjamin's symptoms recited by Mrs. Korff were by no means new to me. A progressive change of heart toward all he loved most. An aversion to friends and amusements, then an avoidance of her and the children. Finally, an overwhelming distaste for his work in all its aspects. I knew he was in desperate need, but his attitude was a barrier precluding inquiry. What little else I learned was relayed to me by his anxious, bewildered wife. On the following day, she called to say that his condition was worse. The day after, she reported a distressing interview at the bank. Without Korff at the helm, the publishing house was tottering on the edge of collapse, and his long-established credit was seriously jeopardized. On the third day, she came to my study again.
The first time I came here, you said, we can sometimes deal with these things ourselves if we know approximately when they began. Well, I know now. It was about 6 weeks ago on a holiday weekend. For a long time, we'd talked about straightening up the attic, Ben and I. And that day, we decided to take the bull by the horns.
I see.
It seems like such a wonderful afternoon to me now. Ben was in a very good humor, thumbing through some back number magazines. reading aloud and laughing. I recall that clearly. I was on my knees cleaning out a trunk he'd had before we were married. And then suddenly I saw it.
What?
This.
She placed a photograph on the desk before me. A very old photograph, composed in the dark brown tones of early photography, dingy now and worn with time. Even so, I could see that it had been made on a small, middle-class lawn on a fairly sunny day. In the foreground were three figures. One of them, Benjamin, very slender and sensitive in his late teens. Beside him stood a somewhat older boy with a robust, grinning face. Between them in a wheelchair sat an aged, white-haired patriarch.
The one on the right, you know.
Yeah, that's Benjamin. And the old man?
His father. I've seen pictures of him before.
Most impressive gentleman.
Yes.
Oh, how long ago this must have been taken. Who's the other lad?
That's the point, Rabbi Samuels. I don't know.
You aren't curious?
I asked.
And?
I took the picture over to where Ben was standing. Who's this Ben, I said. He was smiling until he looked up and saw the picture. And he hasn't smiled once since. That's when it began. I'm sure of it. I don't know why, but that's when.
She left the picture with me, and I sat until after sunset, trying to fathom what it had meant to my friend Benjamin Corth. Then, with the early starlit dusk massing outside my windows, I picked up the phone and called him.
I'm not interested in any more talk.
Oh, please, Ben.
It's a waste of time.
I want to ask you a question.
I know 1,000 questions about myself.
No, one question. About a photograph.
When shall I come?
As soon as it's convenient. I left the picture on top of my desk so that it should be the first thing he saw as he entered. Come in. I'm sorry to have called you, Ben, but your wife was here this afternoon.
I see she was here. She brought this?
Yes, she did.
Well, I suppose she had her reasons.
Deborah's a reasonable woman.
No doubt of that. You wanted to ask me something, you said.
Yes.
Well?
Who are the people in that photograph, Ben?
Why, that's me. That's my father. Rest his soul.
There's a third person.
Oh, some friend of the family's, I suppose.
His name?
His name? This thing was taken 30 years ago.
Oh, even so, I thought you might remember.
A man forgets a name in 30 years.
A man forgets some things in a day and others he remembers always.
This is a thing I forgot.
Who is he, Ben?
What do you want from me?
I want you to make an effort to save yourself.
That can't be done.
I don't believe it.
Believe it, please. Believe it and let me be.
When a psychiatrist says it's true, I will.
Psychiatrist. There's nothing a psychiatrist can do here. I'm not a lunatic.
Pardon me, but you sound more and more like one.
I knew I shouldn't have come here.
It's despicable and cowardly for a man to yield like this to the destruction of his family.
My family provided for.
And his business.
It's not my business.
What?
It's his.
Whose?
Stop handling me. Stop.
Oh, Benjamin. Look, Benjamin, I'm your friend, sincerely, relentlessly. And a trustworthy friend, Benjamin. Whatever tortures you, I promise it'll die with me and bring shame to nobody. Ben, give me a chance to help.
Nothing can help.
God included.
Most of all, God. He's turned his back on me.
Why?
Because he's God and good. Wants no part of me.
And who has pronounced this judgment?
I have.
Have you the right to condemn a man's soul?
It's my soul.
Did you make it, Ben? Please, Ben, for Deborah's sake, for your children's sake, for mine, tell me.
All right. I'll tell you. And then when I do, you'll turn your back on me.
We'll see about that.
I know who the boy in the picture is.
I was certain of it.
His name is David Corth.
Corth?
He's my brother.
In all these years, I haven't mentioned them to you, nor to Deborah nor the children, nor any of the trusting, unsuspecting people who think the best of me. It hasn't been an oversight. He hasn't slipped my mind. I've deliberately tried to keep him hidden and forgotten. But when Deborah found this picture, I realized that I hadn't forgotten him, and that he'll never be hidden from me. We're about as much alike, we two, as storm and sunshine. He was the older, bigger, and stronger than I, with more courage and lust for life than 5 of me. We were never close. In fact, there was such a gulf between us that I was surprised the night I woke to find him standing over my bed. Surprised and a little frightened. Father was old and very ill, and I thought, with my heart pounding, he'd come to tell me the worst.
It's nothing like that. Take it easy, Benny.
Papa's all right, then?
I guess. The nurse is in there with him. She'll let us know.
I see. What is it you want?
I want to talk to you, kid. Keep your voice down and listen to what I say.
Yes, Dad.
I need a little money. It's going to be the last money I ever need from anybody.
What do you mean?
I got to lay my hands on $1,000, Benny, and it's got to be right away.
$1,000?
I know it sounds like a lot of money, but it's chicken feed to what I'm going to make with it. Believe me, chicken feed. Now, the fact is, some friends of mine are letting me in on a deal they can't miss. It'd take too much time to explain it the way they did it to me, but it's big. Take my word for it. It's tremendous.
Yes.
Now, here's the angle. I got somebody let me have the $1,000, but they're looking for collateral. Now, you know what collateral is, huh?
Yes, I know.
Smart kid. You always look bright as a new dime. Well, this person, a professional in the field, is all for yours truly, and he's willing to take my equity in Coffin Company against a loan.
Your equity?
Yeah.
You haven't got any equity. The business belongs to Papa.
Well, it belongs to Papa now, but sooner or later...
You're talking... You're talking about what you inherit.
Nobody loves Papa more than me, but deals like this are once in a lifetime. And you know what the doctor said.
I don't want to talk about it.
You gotta talk to me about it.
You heard Dave.
But I still... Been a baby all your life, but you're over 21 now, and I'm making you act like it. Let me go. No, you're going to hear what I tell you.
What do you come to me for, anyhow?
Because I need you.
Need me?
This professional says no matter what I agree to, you might come along later with some phony claim and give him a lot of headaches. Now, according to him, he can't see his way clear unless you come down with me in the morning and sign a couple of papers. He wants a release. Something like that. And you'll do it, won't you, like a good kid? Now, I'll see that you're taken care of.
I'll have to think about it, Dave. I'd already thought about it. Thought it through. It wasn't difficult to outthink Dave. He was a simple creature, direct and primitive. And it sickens me now to realize how shrewd and cunning I must have been. My mind was made up before I slept. And the next morning, when he came to plead with me again, the trap was ready to be sprung.
You mean you got that kind of money?
I started working afternoons when I was 12, Dave. I've saved a little.
A little? $1,000 ain't such a little. You honestly mean you lend it to me?
No. I'll give it to you, though, Dave.
You don't mean that. You're an okay kid. I'm going to do something nice for you, Benny. Believe me, I am.
Dave, you can do something for me now.
I can? I got nothing but high hopes and the clothes on my back.
You can make out a paper giving me your equity in Coffin Company.
What do you mean?
Those are my terms, Dave.
This on the level?
Yep.
Let me get this straight. You'd really settle for some old presses and a handful of debt?
The professional was willing to settle for them.
Well, it's different with him, kid.
How?
He just sold the presses and let him sue him for the debts. You can't do that. You'll have to pay him.
I've always intended to.
Why?
Well, it'd take a long time to explain it to you, Dave.
Okay. Don't say I didn't warn you.
I won't.
You got yourself a deal.
A deal.
I'm going to hold you to it, Benny.
And I'm going to hold you. Capable, efficient, and cold-blooded, I left no stone unturned. That afternoon, a lawyer drew up an airtight agreement, and I remember the thrill of triumph that went through me as I saw Dave put his signature under mine. I had what I wanted. Dave could speculate and gamble as he chose. I had the thing of value, a publishing company, in debt perhaps and suffering from the neglect of Father's illness, but a dignified entity with which a man might work and grow and prosper. I told my secret to no one, not even my father. His age and sickness had dimmed his judgment, I told myself, and at all events, it was better to keep my own counsel. I had no time for regret thereafter, no time at all. Like an automaton, I lost myself in the jungle of details that were swamping my father's business. Working, planning, scheming, endlessly, relentlessly. At the end of 6 months, I'd contrived to pay the debts and show a sizable profit. And at the end of 6 months, my father passed away. A little time went by, and the scheme in which David placed such high hopes had collapsed. The friends who had promised him easy money had vanished, and with them his investment. But he managed a smile and a swagger somehow when he came to see me at the shop in the heat of that roaring noon.
I can arrange for you to stay on, Benny. How's that? I said I can arrange for you to stay on here. Arrange? With the new owner-to-be. I'm selling out, kid.
You are?
Yeah. Oh, about that $1,000 you loaned me, don't worry about it for a minute.
I've never worried about it, Dave.
You've been okay, kid. Most ain't so okay about money they lend.
I have been okay, Dave. I didn't lend it. I bought an agreement with you, remember? And that agreement stands.
You think you're going to take all this away from me for a measly $1,000?
I'll give you my lawyer's name and address. He's sure I can.
Why,
You're not pulling your way through this, so forget it, Dave. I can arrange for you to stay on if you'd like.
Thanks a million.
Oh, it's a serious offer.
Don't make me laugh.
You haven't even asked what the salary is.
Whatever it is, I'll do better elsewhere.
Are you sure of that, Dave?
Sure or not, I'd starve in the streets before I play second fiddle to a four-eyed bookworm like you. David, see you later.
And I've never seen him since.
I understand.
I've heard about him from time to time, about the life he's had. Empty, pointless, pitiful thing that it is. And I've flown high, my friend. I'm Benjamin Korf, publisher of the best, enlightener of the nation, bringer of culture to the masses. It was a star ride, bright and mighty, until Deborah showed me that photograph, and the ride ended abruptly in a dead center of nowhere.
I see.
The illusion shattered like glass, and I suddenly knew the truth. I'm nothing. No one. Everything I have belongs by right to David. Every bit of prosperity and acclaim I've known, he's paid for in frustration and obscurity. Do you understand now why a psychiatrist would be beside the point?
Perhaps.
Do you realize at last who I am, my friend?
No, who are you?
Cain. Cain. The biblical Cain, and the mark is on me.
Benjamin.
Yes.
How many Bibles have you published?
Bibles? Thousands, I suppose.
Have you ever read one?
As much as most men.
And yet you imagine your story parallels Cain's?
I struck him down, didn't I? We were brothers, weren't we?
Many men have been brothers, Benjamin.
After all this time, you still don't see. Listen to me.
No. No, my friend. The time has come for you to listen. Let me tell you of two other brothers who lived in that same pastoral Canaan of Cain and Abel. Of a boy who stood one golden afternoon, stirring a steaming pot, and of the sound of a hunting horn that came suddenly blasting through the world's tranquility. The boy turned. Behind him in the tent portal, there appeared his brother, stalwart, deep-chested, and clad in the skins of animals. Some say he had come from hunting, and others from murder and quick-gotten gains. But whencever he came, he was hungry, and he wanted what he wanted, when he wanted it.
Give me of thy cooking, brother, quick, make haste.
Nay, sir, father dotes upon this pottage, and he has need of it in the weakness of his age.
Give me, I bid ye. By the stars that reeks of goodness, I crave it, and I swear I'd have it if it cost me all my soul.
A foolish jest.
This is the point of my javelin, a jest.
Thy soul for a mess of pottage.
Esau cares nothing for his soul. His satisfaction is the soul of Esau. The price is nothing. I'll have what I desire.
Even so.
Aye, so.
What's give my birthright for it?
Now you do jest.
I jest not.
Wouldst really give me of this red pottage for nothing more than that?
With all my heart.
Why then, 'tis done.
Why, I can scarce believe thee.
Believe me, lad, and serve it forth before I rip it from you.
forgive me, Benjamin, for telling a story that had been told 5,000 times 5,000 years ago. But
why did you tell it?
Answer me first. Why did it come to pass, Ben?
What do you mean?
Did the birthright change hands because of Jacob's devious cunning? Or because of Esau's lack of love for it?
I don't know. I've heard it said Esau was faint with hunger.
So the Bible says itself. But it fails to say how hungry Jacob would have had to be before he'd have made such a bargain. So profitless, so without soul. Esau, you see, loved only what he could hold in the palm of his hand. And had not Jacob wanted, he'd have sold the birthright late or soon for a bowstring or another draught of ale. Jacob was the hungerer, and he took the birthright unto himself with eagerness, and cherished and savored its subtle nourishment, for which Esau, by his nature, could have no appetite. You follow me, Benjamin?
Yes.
And you remember that later, when the time had come for blind old Isaac to give his blessing to the eldest, it was Jacob, again hungering for the lofty and intangible, who covered his hands with the skins of animals and stole into his father's tent.
Esau. I, my father. Are you, in truth, he? Hast thou not felt my hands?
The hands. The hands are the hands of Esau, but the voice is the voice of Jacob.
Bless me, Father.
I will bless thee. And Jacob was blessed. God loved Jacob, because in him grew the flower of the future, deep planted in the rich soil of veneration for the good things of the past. Like yourself, Benjamin, Jacob revered the work of his father and the world he'd built, and longed to grow and prosper in it with patience and in peace. Like yourself, he knew that his brother's hands would rend the precious heritage and loose it to the winds. For this God loved him, and chose to give unto Jacob his covenant. He was cunning. Shrewd was Jacob, adaptable to and able to bend as the reed bends to the necessities of that reality by which man sustains himself. And for that, God loved him all the more. Loved him and saw in him the resourceful and devoted man, fit to be eternally the father figure of his people. Does God turn his back then upon such as you, my friend? Oh, no. You're a poor judge, Benjamin, both of yourself and of heaven.
Is this the truth? Is it really so?
I believe it is.
But I'm not Jacob. Jacob triumphed. He didn't fall ill as I've fallen ill. He had no guilt because he knew none.
He knew no guilt. Have you decided so? Even though you know that years later, when circumstances brought his brother close to him, we're told that Jacob was alone and there wrestled with a man until the break of day. Benjamin, alone he wrestled with a man. What has that meant to you?
I've never quite understood it.
Well, haven't you wondered how a man alone would wrestle with anyone save himself?
Yes, I have.
Well, then cease to wonder. That man with whom Jacob wrestled was at once Jacob and an angel. And he knew guilt, and he suffered as you're suffering, as each man must suffer when he wrestles with the angel within, when he's like two embattled armies warring against himself. Do you understand?
Perhaps. Yes. I think I do.
Well, then count the time wherein you have endured this agony a holy time, and the place where you have endured it a holy place. For can an encounter with an angel be reckoned otherwise than a blessing from on high?
My good friend,
you've wrestled through the night, and it's time now, Ben, for daybreak. Time to release the angel. Time for the angel to release you. Time for him to say to you, as he said to Jacob, when he renamed him Israel, thou hast striven with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Saul Eisenberg, prominent Detroit business leader,
and co-chairman of the Detroit Friends of the Seminary. Mr. Eisenberg.
On the face of it, the story you have just heard is a dramatic account of a spiritual crisis in the life of one man. Yet, if we look into it more deeply, Benjamin Corf is also a symbol. And the problem he struggled with is a parable which holds true for a great many people today. By his own admission, Benjamin Corf had once taken unfair advantage of his brother, a brother who, like Esau, had rejected his own birthright. But Benjamin had made matters even worse by not facing up to his mistake and correcting it in time. Instead, he buried it, out of sight and out of mind, for over 30 years. And when, many years too late, the memory of his sin was recalled, he was overwhelmed by a burden of guilt, far too great for one man to bear. The trouble with him was that his struggle with his conscience came much too late to do him or his brother any good. And now, as the good rabbi told him, he was committing even a greater wrong by torturing himself uselessly. There are many people who, like Benjamin Corf, go through life crushed and paralyzed by a sense of guilt over something that is beyond recall. They indulge in self-pity, and they assume that even God has turned his back on them forever. The Jewish tradition teaches us to avoid wrongdoing in the first place, but it also tells us that no man has a right to condemn his own soul forever, or to consign himself and his family to a perpetual blind alley of useless remorse. No man is perfect, and God does not turn his back on us if we sincerely repent our sins. God gives each human being the challenge and the opportunity to struggle with himself, as Jacob did in the Bible. But this struggle is not an end in itself. Its purpose is to conquer our evil desires and return to life and its moral duties. Both the Bible and modern psychology teach us that whatever guilt we feel about the past can be made bearable only if we atone for it and turn our eyes towards the future. Only in this way can we face life creatively, with hope, determination, and renewed faith in God's moral law.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenberg. Our Eternal Light drama today, A Wrestling with an Angel, was written by Peter Barry. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. Chanter Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Norman Rose, Carl Weber, Connie Lemke, Joe DeSantis, and Edwin Jerome. This is Mel Brandt speaking. This has been an NBC Radio Network production, directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is the NBC Radio Network.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light.
The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, written by Seymour Wright, is entitled Not Without Tears.
Ladies and gentlemen, forgive me if I seem a bit nervous, but I've never been on a radio program before, and it's really...
In trouble again, Tevye?
Menachem Mendel, what are you doing here?
I thought you might be able to use a little help.
Tell the truth, I can. This program is supposed to be all about Sholem Aleichem, and somehow they put me in charge.
Well, what's so strange about that? After all, Sholem Aleichem was a very wonderful writer, and you're Tevye the dairyman, one of his greatest creations. He wrote a great many stories about you, so who can be better qualified to talk about him than you can?
Very well, I'll try. Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring you the story of the beloved humorist and writer Sholem Aleichem. His real name was Sholem Rabinowitz. He was born in Russia in 1850 and died in America in 1916. During his lifetime, he produced over 40 volumes of stories, novels, and plays. No, this isn't the way.
Well, what's the matter now?
He was born here, he lived there. That's not Sholem Aleichem. His life was more than a handful of facts.
What are you talking about?
Menachem Mendel, to be perfectly frank, meaning no disrespect, Sholem Aleichem's life wasn't a very dramatic or exciting one. To really know him, you have to know the people he wrote about. The people of the little towns like the one he himself grew up in. The fish peddlers, the tailors, the poultry women, the children, the Hebrew teachers and their students. Those are the important things. The things that matter.
All right. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to talk about the people in Sholem Aleichem's books? Go right ahead.
Well, how do I do it? What should I say? I'm a dairyman, not an orator. Besides, I haven't any of his books here.
That's no problem at all.
Oh, a whole shelf full of books. Where did they come from? How did they get here?
My dear Tevye, on radio, anything is possible.
Look, Tevye's Daughters, and the Adventures of Motel and Morning Star, the Old Country, Inside Kazrilivka, the Great Fair. I don't know where to begin.
Why don't you begin with Kazrilivka? After all, who in the entire world did Sholem Aleichem love more than the poor Kazrilivkites? Huh? Here, you remember the story, Tevye? The town of the little people?
Oh, yes, of course.
The town of the little people into which I shall now take you, dear reader, is exactly in the middle of that blessed pale into which Jews have been packed as closely as herring in a barrel and told to increase and multiply. The name of the town is Kazrilivka. How did this name originate? I'll tell you. Among us Jews, poverty has many faces and many aspects. A poor man is an unlucky man. He is a pauper, a beggar, a starveling, a tramp, or a plain failure. A different tone is used in speaking of each one, but all these names express human wretchedness. However, there is still another name, Kazril, or Kazrilik. That name is spoken in a different tone altogether, almost a bragging tone. A Kazrilik is not just an ordinary pauper, a failure in life. On the contrary, he is a man who is not allowed poverty to degrade him. He laughs at it. He is poor, but cheerful. That's how they all are, these little people. Poor, but cheerful. It's hard to say what makes them so happy. Nothing. Just sheer joy of living. Living? If you ask them, how do you live, they will answer.
How do we live? Who knows? We live.
Whenever you meet them, they are scurrying like rabbits, this one here, that one there. And if you ask, what are you hurrying for? They reply,
what are we hurrying for? Well, if we hurry, we might run into something, earn a few pennies, provide for the Sabbath.
To provide for the Sabbath. That is their goal in life. All week they labor and sweat, wear themselves out, live without food or drink, just so there is something for the Sabbath. And when Holy Sabbath arrives, let Yehupitz perish, let Odessa be razed, let Paris itself sink into the earth. Kazrilivka live. But the real pride of Kazrilivka is their old cemetery. This cemetery, though it is overgrown with grass and with bushes and has practically no upright headstones, they still value as they might a treasure and guard it like the apple of their eye. For this is not only the place where their ancestors lie, rabbis, men of piety, learned ones, scholars and famous people, but also the only piece of land of which they are masters, the only bit of earth they own, where a blade of grass can sprout and a tree can grow, and the air is fresh, and one can breathe freely. If you haven't seen it, go down into the cemetery, read the old half-obliterated inscriptions on the leaning tombstones, and you will find in them the story of a whole people. And if you happen to be a man of feeling and imagination, then you will look upon this poor little town with its rich cemetery and repeat the old verses. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob. How good are your resting places, O Israel.
Ha, 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 ha. An amazing man, Tevye.
Who?
Sholem Aleichem. Who do you think? He traveled all over the world, here, there, all over, writing, lecturing, rubbing elbows with the greatest. But even so, he never lost touch with the little people of Kazrilivka.
That's because he never lost touch with himself, Menachem Mendel. It is written...
Yeah, please, Tevye. No quotations or misquotations. Huh?
Very well. We'll go back to the books. Let's see. Wandering Star... Ah, you remember this story? The one called Third Class?
If you ever plan to take a trip of any distance at all, don't under any circumstance travel first or second class. As far as first class is concerned, there isn't much to say. It's usually empty. And what's the pleasure in riding all by yourself with no one to talk to? You might even forget how to talk. And do you think second class is any better? Here you sit surrounded by people who may look no different from yourself, people with the same desires and the same temptations as yours. They would like to speak to you. They may be dying to know who you are, where you come from, and where you're going. But they sit facing each other like dummies in a store window. In short, when you travel second class, you are bound to feel like a stranger. You're a stranger among your own people. But if you travel third class, then you're completely at home. If anything, you may feel yourself just a little too much at home. All around you there is noise and confusion, crowding and pushing. You don't know just where you are, who your neighbors are, but it doesn't take you long to become acquainted with each other.
Your first trip to Broiberg?
I'm not going to Boibery. I'm going to Zalodievka.
Ah, to visit relatives.
No. On business.
Of course. The minute I laid eyes on you, I said to myself, there's a salesman. Pots and pans.
Not pots and pans. Linens and laces.
No doubt you're staying at the Hotel Frenchia?
No. I'll stay with my Uncle Mordka. He's a tailor.
You have an Uncle Mordka, a tailor? Oh, then you must be Borchesh Leadvorsh's son-in-law.
Yes, I am Borchesh Leadvorsh's son-in-law, and my wife is Shana Shandel, Borchesh Leadvorsh's daughter. How did you know?
Because your mother-in-law's grandmother, Sarinente, and my wife's aunt, Fumizlata, were, I believe, first cousins. And if I am not mistaken, you are
If you are traveling third class and the time comes for morning prayers and you don't have a prayer shawl or phylacteries with you, don't worry. Someone will see to it that you get both and anything else you need. In return, however, when you are through with your prayers, be so kind, please, as to open your suitcase and pass around whatever food you have brought. If you have only an orange or a piece of strudel, don't be ashamed. Pass it around. On the road and in company, appetites are lively. If you have a bottle of wine with you, you will certainly get plenty of customers. Everyone will taste it and give you his expert opinion.
Excellent wine. A very fine Bessarabian Muscat.
My dear sir, excuse me, but you're quite wrong. This is obviously an imported Ackerman.
What do you mean? Ackerman, Muscat? Anyone who knows wine can tell that it's a Kobashna Bordeaux.
I say it's an Ackerman.
No, I still maintain...
Friends, please listen to me. When it comes to wine, ask a real expert. Of course. Well, gentlemen, do you know what this is? It's plain, simple, pure, homemade kosher port. The kind we make in our own cellar. Of course, you boy. I knew it all the time.
Menachem Mendel.
Yes, Tevye.
If you don't mind my asking, where did that train whistle come from?
Oh, the train whistle? It was a sound effect.
Sound defect?
Effect, yes. They use them all the time on the radio, eh?
Menachem Mendel, is there anything you don't know?
My dear Tevye, I am a man of the world.
Of course, you weren't always so smart. You remember when I gave you all my money, my life savings, and you took it to your chuppets and lost every penny in the stock market?
Tevye, please. Did we come here to talk about me or Shalom Aleichem, eh?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to digress. As it is said, the world continues in its course. Let bygones be bygones. Time and tide wait for no man.
Speaking of time, do you remember Reb Nochem's clock?
Of course. Who doesn't remember it? We had a hanging clock. It was an ancient clock that my grandfather had inherited from his father, and his father's father straight back to the days of Count Khmelnytsky. What a pity that a clock is a lifeless thing, mute and without speech. Otherwise, what stories it could have told and told. It had a name throughout the town, Reb Nochem's clock, so unfaltering and true in its course that men came from all directions to set their own clocks and watches by it. Almost half the town ordered its life according to it. And what is Jewish life without a clock? How many things there are that must be timed to the minute: lighting of the Sabbath candles, the end of the Sabbath, the daily prayers, the salting and the soaking of the meat, the intervals between meals. In short, our clock was the town clock, was always faithful to us and to itself, and in all its existence it never knew a repairman. But there came a day when a strange thing happened. A beautiful, cloudless day when we were sitting at the noonday meal. Whenever the clock struck, I liked to count the strokes, and I did it out loud.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13? A fine mathematician you are. Who ever heard of a clock striking 13?
13, Father. On my word of honor, 13.
Fool. Don't ever repeat such nonsense. A clock can't strike 13.
Oh, don't scold the boy. I think it did strike 13.
Oh, another village heard from?
Despite his annoyance, my father began to suspect something, too. After dinner, he went to the clock, climbed on a stool, and prodded around inside until the clock began to strike. All three of us counted, nodding our heads at each stroke.
9, 10, 11, 12,
13.
13? A fine mathematician you are. Who ever heard of a clock striking 13?
13, Father. On my word of honor, 13.
Fool. Don't ever repeat such nonsense. A clock can't strike 13.
Oh, don't scold the boy. I think it did strike 13.
Oh, another village heard from?
Despite his annoyance, my father began to suspect something, too. After dinner, he went to the clock, climbed on a stool, and prodded around inside until the clock began to strike. All three of us counted, nodding our heads at each stroke.
9, 10, 11, 12,
13.
13. It struck 13.
Oh, well, don't look so miserable. Take the clock down and fix it. After all, you're the expert.
Yes, of course.
My father took the clock down and busied himself with it. He sweated over it. He worked all day long. And when he finally hung it back in its place, the clock ran as it should. At midnight, we all stood around it and counted each stroke till 12, while my father beamed.
All fixed. No more 13.
I always said you were an expert.
But there's one thing I don't understand. Why does it wheeze? It never used to wheeze like that before.
No. You're imagining things.
But listening carefully, we heard the clock wheeze whenever it got ready to strike, like an old man catching his breath before he coughs. And even the chime wasn't the same. The chime had been a happy one, a joyous one, and now something sad had crept in, a sadness like that in the song of an old, worn-out cantor toward the end of the Day of Atonement. Finally, my father reached a decision.
There isn't anything wrong with the clock. It's the weight. There isn't enough weight, enough life.
He fastened my mother's flat iron to the weight, a matter of several pounds, and the clock began to run like a charm. Father was overjoyed, a new man. But it didn't last very long. In a little while, the clock failed again.
More weight.
Desperately, my father attached more and more objects to the weight: a frying pan, a copper pitcher, a bag of sand. Each time the clock shuddered for a moment and then began to run again, until one night, when the final catastrophe occurred.
What happened?
The clock fell down. It's in a million pieces.
Well, what did you expect? Everything you could imagine was hung on it. A half a ton at least, so it fell down. You wouldn't have done any differently yourself.
But what will happen to the town? How will everybody manage?
Don't worry. It takes more than a broken clock to disrupt the Jewish town. With God's help, we've survived fire, floods, disease, even pogroms. We'll survive this, too.
My mother was right, of course. The town survived, and our clock was soon a thing of the past. But now and then, to this very day, I can still hear it striking faintly in my dreams. Striking 13.
You know, Tevye, we mustn't give the impression that Sholem Aleichem's people were only interested in little trivial things, their own petty concerns.
Oh, definitely not. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We had more than our share of the world's happenings and its headaches.
Do you remember the time of the Dreyfus case?
Yes. Here's the story right here. Dreyfus in Kazrilivka. I'll never forget the excitement.
I doubt if the Dreyfus case made such a stir anywhere as it did in Kazrilivka. Paris, they say, seethed like a boiling vat. But the anguish and pain that Kazrilivka underwent, Paris will not experience till Judgment Day. And how did Kazrilivka learn about the Dreyfus case? From Reb Shea's son, Seidel. Seidel was the only person in town who subscribed to a newspaper, and all the news of the world they learned from him, or rather through him. He told them what he read in the paper, but they turned it around to suit themselves, because they understood better than he did. When Seidel first came to the synagogue and told how in Paris a certain Jewish captain named Dreyfus had been in prison for turning over government papers to the enemy, they were quite unmoved.
A Jew has no business climbing so high, interfering with kings and their affairs.
But later, when Seidel came and explained that the whole thing was a plot, that the Jewish captain Dreyfus was innocent, then the town became interested in the case. At once, Dreyfus became a Kazrilivkite. Whenever two people came together, he was the third.
Have you heard?
I've heard.
Sent away for good.
A life sentence.
And for nothing at all.
A false accusation.
When Seidel told the news that the case might be tried again, Kazrilivka really began to boil. As the trial developed, they got tired of waiting for Seidel to come to the synagogue with the news. They went to his house. And while Seidel read in his loudest voice, they listened, discussed, shouted, and argued, all at the same time. There were two people whom Kazrilivka came to love and revere, Emil Zola and the lawyer Laborie. For Zola, every one of them would have gladly died.
What did you think of Zola's letters?
Pearls, diamonds, rubies.
Gradually, a great excitement seized the town. They tore not only the paper to pieces, but Seidel himself. They couldn't eat. They didn't sleep nights. They waited only for the next day, and the next, and the next. Suddenly, there arose a terrible crisis. When the lawyer Laborie was shot, all Kazrilivka was beside itself.
Why? What for?
Such an outrage.
Without cause.
Worse than Sodom.
That shot was fired at their heads. The bullet was lodged in their breast, just as if the assassin had shot at Kazulivka itself.
God in heaven, reveal thy wonders. Thou knowest how if thou wishest. Perform a miracle that Laborie might live.
And God performed the miracle. Laborie lived. By the time the last day of the trial arrived, the excitement was so intense that the Kazilakites shook us with a fever. Not a single one of them slept a wink that night. They rolled fitfully in their beds and waited for day to come. At the first sign of dawn, they rushed to the post office. Little by little, a crowd gathered around the closed gates, and the streets were soon filled with people. Men walked up and down, yawning, stretching, and praying under their breath. The gates were unlocked at last, and Zadel came for his newspaper. But when he opened the paper and read the sad news aloud, there arose such a clamor, such a roar, that the heavens could have split open. Their outcry was not against the judges who gave the wrong verdict, not at the generals who swore falsely, not at the French who showed themselves up so badly. The outcry was against Zadel.
It cannot be! Such a verdict is impossible!
Oh, it's right here in black and white. See?
We don't care. The truth must prevail. What kind of lies are you telling us?
I'm not telling you lies. Look, see what the paper says.
Paper! If you stood with one foot in heaven and the other on earth, we still wouldn't believe you.
Such a thing must not be. It must never be. Never, never, never.
They shouted and stormed. It was never to be. Never, never. And when all was said and done, who was right?
Menachem Mendel. Look, that man behind the glass window over there. He's waving his arms at us.
That means it's time to end the program.
Well, how do we do that? I've never ended a program
Well, it's
before.
very simple. A few closing remarks, a suitable quotation. Let me see. Here, the very thing. The dedication of Sholem Aleichem's autobiography, The Great Fair. Go ahead, Tevye, read it.
Oh, no,
Go on.
Dear beloved children, to you I dedicate my work of works, my book of books, the song of songs of my soul. I realize that this book, just as any man's handiwork, is not without defect. But who knows better than you what it has cost me? I have given to it of my best, my heart. Read it from time to time. Perhaps you or your children will learn something from it. To love our people and to appreciate their spiritual treasures, which lie scattered in all the dark corners of our great exile in this great world. This would be the best reward for my faithful, more than 30 years' labor in our mother tongue and literature. Your father, the author.
What a shame. A writer like that, and he didn't live long enough to finish writing his own life story.
Yes. But a man like Sholem Aleichem doesn't need an autobiography. His life is in every line he ever wrote, every character he ever conceived of. You, I, all of us. We're part of him.
I suppose you're right, Tevye. Well, it's late. Time for me to go.
Yeah. Me too, Menachem Mendel. Sholem Aleichem to you.
Aleichem Sholem, my dear Tevye. Aleichem Sholem.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting the Honorable Edward S. Silver, District Attorney of Kings County, New York. Mr. Silver.
At the turn of the last century, I was born on the Lower East Side, a short block from the East River. Yet strange as it might seem, I do not seem a stranger in Kazrilevka. My good parents of blessed memory did not fail to preserve for me the heritage of faith and joy of my people in the face of a rough economic struggle. Some might say, as things are measured today, that I was an underprivileged lad. But truly, Pop and Mom were spiritual millionaires, and I am fortunate to have gotten my share of their great wealth. Believe me, please, that a lot of a district attorney is not an easy one. Seeing that justice is done has always been beset with difficulties. When to be lenient, when to be hard, is not an easy thing to determine. There is no simple formula one can follow. Public office, too, carries with it many unofficial obligations that tires one's body and mind. Thus it is, as the Sabbath approaches, I look to it as one does for an oasis in the desert. I live in my home again. It is not just a way station for bed, raiment, and food. I see and talk with my wife and children around the festive Sabbath table. I meet again with my cronies in the synagogue and regain a leisurely pace. Crime and juvenile delinquency lose its sharpness, and renewal of hope and confidence is reborn with which to tackle my daily problems. No country club can give one the spiritual satisfaction of sitting next to your son in the synagogue. Too many of us have lost the pleasure of the simple and spiritual treasures of our people. They are not hard to come by. They are there for the taking. And may I close with the words of the psalmist, "Peace be within thy walls, and property within thy palaces. For my brethren and companions' sakes, I will now say, peace be with ye."
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Our Eternal Light drama today, Not Without Tears, was written by Seymour Wright. This script was based on Sholem Aleichem's The Old Country, translated by Julius and Francis Butwin, Kevia's Daughters, translated by Francis Butwin, both published by Crown Publishers, and The Great Fair, published by the Noonday Press. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Joe DeSantis, Joseph Julian, Ralph Bell, Louis Soren, Guy Sorrell, Danny Occo, Bob Hastings, Sam Raskin, Francois Grimard, Guy Rep, Leon Janney, and Beatrice Pons. This is Mel Brandt. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is the NBC Radio Network.